Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to part 4 of the Disco Elysium stream. Sorry for the late start. I had a few bugs in the system. As in, literally. My computer wouldn't come on today. Turns out, a couple of bugs had crawled in the power supply because it was warm there. Thankfully, safety features in the power supply kept it from shorting out and blowing the whole computer. So I just had to, take it apart and shake them out. Anyway, here we are, start of day 3. And hello to everyone, including you, D-Factor, and Mary. Nothing on the front page rings a bell. Strange. No, not really. Okay. And again.
The man ponders his cooking utensils and gives you a little nod, acknowledging your presence. He looks up at you, then looks away quickly, shrugging and muttering something to himself. Shrugging is an international sign for, no, I don't know what's behind that door. You see a heavy steel door.
I'm trying to remember how you get through that door. I'm not sure if it's, Aha. Never mind. I figured it out. Crap, it's... Yes, I'll take the 50 cents.
Behind the dockworkers, a ceiling-height window. The hawthorn branches scrape the glass.
Over here. Let me handle this.
The woman says to the crowd in the mess hall before turning to you.
You seem a little different today. Less hospitable.
You are far from home, Lieutenant. This isn't a district known for its love of self-proclaimed militiamen.
You're not a gardener.
That's right. I'm not a gardener. I'm a legal counselor for the Dockworkers Union.
It feels like she's waiting for a reaction of some sort. Enough, let's talk seriously.
Not a muscle moves in her face, but her eyes trace yours, stern and perceptive.
You are looking for Titus Hardy, who you think has information on a murder the RCM is investigating. You want to interview him.
She points to the man standing in the middle of the room.
That's Titus. Talk to him, but know this. I'll be keeping an eye on you. No strong arming, nothing official. The District of Martinez does not recognize your authority to make arrests.
It doesn't matter if you recognize our authority. We will make an arrest if we have to.
She says nothing. Her glare speaks for her. Could this be the Miss Beaufort that Easy Leo mentioned? The one Mr. Everard sent to law school?
What's your role in all this?
Like I already told you, I'm a legal counselor. Do you have hearing problems?
Are you Miss Beaufort?
I suggest not wasting time on trivial pleasantries.
Even though she has excellent control over herself, something moved behind her eyes. in the way she stands, in her face.
Easy Leo told me about you. He likes to talk a
You are
lot.
not here to chat up the legal counsel. You are here to question these men.
What if I want to talk to you, not
What
Titus?
you want is of no significance, officer. Don't test your authority. In Martinez, you are no one.
Why are you so aggressive?
Aggressive? You make your living enforcing violence. These people are just dock workers.
So you were spying on us, and now you represent murder suspects. Just dock workers. We've talked to Evrard Claire. We know who these men are. The Union's militant wing.
Listen, you moral intern lackeys. You're a mob, enforcing the unlawful privatization of Revachol. 20 fat men in the Occident are stealing it all, and you're their bodyguards.
Fuck yeah.
The tall, broad-shouldered man takes a sip of his beer.
So ask what you came to ask, or get back to your commanders.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's ask those
Let's.
questions.
This is where you say your bit.
A broad-shouldered man points at you with a beer can.
Detective.
We need to talk about the man hanged out back.
Oh, this is about him. A real looker, that one.
You sure took your time, huh? Waited for him to get real ripe and pretty for you.
Oh, he was a real pretty boy. Hanging up there, letting out that pretty boy smell.
I can't for the life of me understand why you did it. I mean, I would have just left him up there. You must really like cleaning up other people's shit.
You might want to start asking your questions now. It's not going to get better than this.
Scan the room.
No. I's here. You got business with my boys. You got business with me.
Yeah! You fuck with the Hardy boys, you fuck with Titus Hardy.
Shouts the scrawny rat-faced man, 2 teeth missing in the front.
Relax, Dennis. No one is fucking you yet.
Says the 40-something man from the corner with the plectrum hanging from his neck.
Yeah, Dennis, calm down. No one's fucking you, you stupid fuck.
Let Dennis enjoy his fucking, man. We don't mind.
You notice gang tattoos. The man must be either Mesk or Sarah Mirizian.
Yeah. You're not even being fucked, Dennis.
Easy, fellas. We got company. Let's see what brings the cop around.
Too late. You already scanned the room. You got a pretty good picture of the actors here. You could take another look at the tracks in the mud on the crime scene. Compare it to these guys.
I'm gonna take off now. Because I never have I never have really examined those tracks in the back. Simply because, well, crap. Really low visual calculus rating.
There are several footprints in the mud, left by work boots. Anywhere from 6 to 12 pairs have walked here.
On the other hand, I've got a better chance than I used to have.
There are several footprints in the mud. 8 pairs of boots have shuffled back and forth in the mud. Where else have we seen a gang of men in work boots? That's right. The Hardy boys in the mess hall of Whirling in Rags.
Go over them one by one.
1. Standard work boot. Steel reinforced toes. Number 46. Just like Titus was wearing in his booth. This is the big dick. Titus Hardy. The one with the bald cap on his head.
Interesting.
Is it? They didn't even bother to change boots. Putting them on the scene is easy. Maybe even too easy. 2. Standard work boot. Steel reinforced toes. Number 44. Either the blonde muscular guy, Glenn, or the young guy with a plectrum around his neck. 3. Hobnailed work boot, steel reinforced toes, number 43. The inked banger, perhaps. 4. Standard work boot, number 45 or 46. Theo, the old smoker. You think you even see a tiny fleck of cigarette ash inside the print. 5. Another standard work boot, reinforced toes, number 44. Same as before. Either the musician, Eugene, or the muscle-bound blonde, Glenn. 6. Light as air. Same make of boot, but number 41. Small like a rat, Shanky. 7. The glowing outline of a standard work boot, number 46. The imprints are twice as deep as the others. The weight exceeds 200 kilograms. Fat Angus, carrying something?
And the last one?
8. Another standard work boot, number 44. There's an aberration in the pattern of the sole. The right sole is smoother, more worn. Curious. A missing 8th Hardy Boy.
7 sets of tracks, right? The Hardy Boys were here.
8, actually.
That's all? Interesting. Then one of them seems to be missing. Anything else out of the ordinary?
An aberration. I can point at these. Let's see. An aberration. One soul is smoother than the other.
Interesting. Let's name it the Odd Soul. I wouldn't be surprised if this was the missing Hardy Boy. Wonder who he is.
Do you have any ideas?
Someone operating a workbench with a pedal? Like a joiner at the harbor? Or maybe a drummer?
So one of the people we're looking for is a drummer?
No, it's not. Forget I said it. We are not looking for... Perhaps it could be a driver. A driver would wear out the right shoe before the left. The accelerator is on the right.
I was actually thinking the exact same thing.
He doesn't seem to hear you. Looking south, toward the traffic jam instead. The machines are silent. The engines are all turned off.
We should keep our eyes open around the traffic jam. See whether anyone strikes out as a potential suspect. Seems prudent, no?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How old do you think these tracks are?
A week, maybe? 7 days would fit the time frame provided to us by the caller, who reported the hanging.
It is not impossible.
How do you know? And this time he's asking his visual calculus, not Kim.
I pulled last week's forecast for coastal Havashol. 7 days below freezing. The day before, the day of his hanging, was the last warm day.
Correct again. Sub-zero temperatures would preserve the tracks in a good state. The commotion here could have taken place a week ago.
Point, a heavy one, 200 kilo imprint.
200? This could be the combined weight of 2 people, one carrying the other who's tied up. Let's say a heavily built worker carrying a similarly built armored man. Maybe it was a fat Hardy Boy, the one sitting in the middle.
He might be right. 200 kilograms of living weight is unlikely.
You're right, the fat guy from the booth was carrying the victim.
Probably yes. This would also fit with the victim being dead from a previous gunshot wound. They had to carry him, because he could no longer walk. Is there anything else that's noteworthy here?
Light step, number 41.
I'm guessing that's the skinny Hardy Boy. The one with his front teeth missing.
Yes.
I could still be wrong, but I'm probably not.
What do you think happened here?
What do I think? A mob of people brought something heavy to the tree. One of them was carrying the victim. They shuffled around, especially under the tree. Then, after hoisting him up, they stood in a semicircle facing his direction. At first glance, this appears to be a lynching.
Indeed. They all stood in a row here and looked at the tree.
But we know the victim had a bullet in his head. A more precise way to put it is, it was made to look like a lynching.
We've been purposefully misled.
By these tracks? Yes.
We've been through all of it. Okay. And another place to go is probably over here to the drivers.
Stuck in the rain in a traffic jam, man. What's on your mind?
wrinkled woman does not greet you. She nods along to something on her radio. A photograph is clutched in her hands, and there is a warm smile on her face.
I seriously doubt she was in on it. And in any case, it probably doesn't matter because we know we're being misled to make it think it was a lynching. Also, while we're out and about, let's stop over at the bookstore just to tell her that there is no...
You broke down the back door. Why? I gave you the key.
I'm not sure. I don't know what I was thinking.
You can find the solution quickly. The wards are broken. The passage has been opened. Now tell me, what's back there?
I talked to the entity you told me about. Her name is Nihan, and she's a novelty dice maker.
Dice maker? Well, spit it out. Why does she need the dice? For some kind of sorcery? Sometimes they use the ankle bones of sheep.
She's not a sorceress or some malicious entity. She's a businesswoman like you.
I don't understand. If it's not her, then where is the source of the doom? How did she explain the curse?
Before you say anything, ask yourself, is the woman really able to withstand the truth? She's squeezing on the pendant too tight. A drop of blood in her palm.
Honestly, I don't have an answer yet. There still leads to be followed, but like that strange radio computer thing.
You're telling me that you went in there and did... Of course. I should have known better than to put the investigations over. I don't want you going in there anymore. You're only angering the psychic weather in here. Now, if you're not going to buy anything...
She turns to face the door, waiting for potential customers.
Total psychic collapse between you two right now.
I am sorry we had to disappoint you, ma'am.
The shop around you feels ancient suddenly, damp and saturated by the coastal air. The books are rotting. A great cold lives here, and there too. 1,200 meters away on the urban coast, the dark shape of a church is reflected on the water, calling.
Farewell for now. And a third thing I wanted to do, might as well do it before we even go.
There, working class drunk. You know what this means, right?
Case solved.
Cracked it. All in a good day's work.
Wait, why did I crack exactly?
What do you mean, what did I crack? Look at how working class that drunk is.
It's the missing husband?
Yes, and you found him. Now go and tell the working class woman. Protect and serve, recruit.
This doesn't add up. I'm only making a fool of
Do
myself.
marriages make any sense? Does honor? You're not a filthy philosopher. You're an officer of law. It's time to ace this case and not brood over your reputation. We can deal with the perception management later.
Give me some champagne, I'm going
There's
in.
no need for champagne when there's honor, recruit. Go and tell the working class woman what you found right now.
Well, I have no idea where that working class woman is, so I'm just going to continue. The damage looks like it could have been caused by an earthquake. Yes, it could have been. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, we can actually cross the lock now.
A couple of indicator lights are missing from this control panel. Loose wires dangle from the now vacant holes. In the middle is a lever. Beneath it, a small metal plaque. You grab the handle and pull the lever up. As soon as the metal connects against the contact pins, you hear a loud clunk. Then the water lock starts moving.
Okay, if we ever need to get to the coast, then this is the way. But please, contain your wanderlust for now. I don't want us to get sidetracked, not with everything that's going on.
Focus on one thing, achieve it, then the next, he thinks. That's the task chain.
Yeah, but we're going across anyway. The radio relay hums with electricity. And my pocket jingles with 10 more cents. Let's see. A creaking ahead, a broken axle grinding. Banged up fuel canister that I can sell.
A banged up motor carriage lies half submerged in the icy water, slowly sinking into the Elysium Ocean. Only the cabin top, rear wheels, and the engine remain visible.
This is where the tracks on the plaza were
It
leading
appears
to.
to be so.
The lieutenant has a peculiar look in his eyes as he inspects the wreckage. Let's
I
investigate.
agree. We should definitely investigate.
You get a sudden, sinking feeling. Stomach acid comes up as you look at the motor carriage in the deep, dark, cold water.
What is the make of this MC? Can I see a logo?
The logo is too deep in the murky water. You can't make it out, but you do see a monkfish float by.
How long has it been here?
The ice hasn't closed around the vehicle yet. My guess is it's been here since last Saturday or Sunday.
The motor carriage is properly stuck in the ice. Getting it out would require a team of specialists. A single day in the salty seawater would ruin most vehicles, but this one looks worn even in places the salt water hasn't touched it. Rust, moss, and sea life have already claimed it for themselves and initiated a slow decomposition process.
Well, looks like Jacob Er's journey came to an
Your
abrupt end
mocking
here.
turn finds no response, but the motion of the waves.
Did you say something, Lieutenant?
I did not. But I'd say it has been here since last Saturday or Sunday.
What should we do?
Let's wait for the low tide and see what's inside.
How long will it take for the low tide to come in?
I don't know. An hour or two, tops?
Well, sit on the swing and wait for the tide to recede.
As you sit down in the old, rusty playground, the world around you becomes very silent. The hinges creak under your weight, dangerously so. Nothing but the sound of seagulls high above in the sky, echoing like distant laughter. Ice cracks around the blue motor carriage in the sea.
It looks very blue.
Yes, it does.
We'll try.
Spit flies from your mouth to your moustache, your chest, the ground before you. The lieutenant must think it's rather funny. He smiles and quickly turns away.
I'd like to see you try in this bloody wind.
With his lips puckered, the lieutenant lets out a beautiful, melodic trill that puts even the Icelandic thrush to shame. You hear the sound echo on the large body of water. Clouds race across the spring sky, and suddenly you just feel better about everything.
Well, that would really help if my morale had taken a hit.
The clouds pass in the sky, and the shadow of the swing moves like the hour hand on a timepiece. 30 minutes have passed.
The tide sure is taking its sweet time.
I believe it's following a pattern set millions of years ago by cosmic forces. But I suppose it could move.
Mostly because the other two dialogue choices just seem stupid.
Clouds on the horizon grow darker, and the shadow of the swing set keeps climbing. You hear the distant rumble of the city. 30 minutes pass.
If you have to side with either the strikers or the shipping company, who would you
Luckily,
choose?
I am already a member of an independent organization, and therefore do not have to choose between a rock and a hard place.
I guess that's just your way of saying you'd side with the
Your
company.
voice echoes on the water, strange and out of place in the environment. 30 more minutes pass.
Can you make out the mark now?
Detective, I've been able to make out the mark ever since we arrived. I find it odd that you haven't. It's a Coupris, Model 40.
His eyes turn to you.
Yes. Why haven't you?
It is a simple and rugged machine, favored by working men, government offices, firefighters, animal control people. You know, those kinds of people.
Squint your eyes. Is that a number on the side?
Yes, 41. What do you think it stands for?
I hate guessing. District something, a precinct, something municipal. Oh, God, no.
I'm sorry, Harry. I'm so sorry.
41. Precinct 41. A massive pit opens up in your stomach, and the most terrible feeling comes over you. You feel like you're about to faint and fall off the swing. Your hands get clammy, and the air tastes sour to breathe. Oh, God, Harry. Oh, God, Harry. What did you do? No. Just nope. Say no to this, Harry.
Oh my God, it's mine. I drove my
I'm
car into
afraid
the
so,
sea.
yes. It looks like you drove your police motor carriage into the sea after you jumped across the canal.
The badge, the gun, and now this.
The lieutenant adjusts his glasses and doesn't say anything.
They're not going to take me back after this, are they?
People are more valuable than machines. Training a police officer is even more costly.
People, yes, but not you.
Well, at least I can see what's in there now.
Yes. Let's go take a look.
Looks like you found the traffic hooligan. Looks like he found his badge, too. And his commander's jacket. Take off the jacket, put on this jacket. I have no idea why they chose the lower left-hand corner instead of the upper left-hand corner. Oh well.
Police badge on which you see the photo of a man. You. Some seaweed is stuck to the back.
At least something
found my badge.
came out of all these.
Study the
Encased
badge.
between two durable plastic sheets is a bluish card with lines of information and a watermark in the shape of the street grid of Revachol West.
Well, it does confirm his last name at least, Di, that he is something Dubois.
You see a photo, a name,
there we go.
a rank, a document number, the date of issue, and, in the lower right corner, your precinct.
Look at the photo.
The man keeps winking at you with his green-grey eyes. The photo is old, no doubt about that.
How old?
8, maybe 10 years. The guy in the picture is rather good-looking. He's got a nice haircut and is distinctly lacking in massive sideburns.
And he's winking. Why?
What do you think? His face is already contorted by the expression, although it looks less grotesque on him than it did on you. It looks like you had quite the charming face way back then. Your hair is brown and slightly curly. Your eyes seem more clear somehow. The badge in your hand shines as you rotate it, catching light. You see lines of information on it, and a shining watermark.
Name Harrier Dubois.
Harrier? That's long for Harry. So you are Harry. Evrard was half right. Probably not a lot of people know your full name. Whoever told him you're Harry Dubois didn't.
Harrier Dubois it is then.
Pleased to make your acquaintance, Harrier Dubois.
The badge in your hands shines as you rotate it, catching light. You see lines of information.
Rank LTN-2JFR.
Lieutenant W. Freighter.
What is the Lieutenant W. Freighter?
The lieutenant is a rank above sergeant and below captain. It's the highest rank in the RCM that still does field work. I am a lieutenant.
And W Freighter?
The title of Freighter is added to your rank when you decline a promotion to a higher rank. In your case, Captain. You have declined twice, thus you're W Freighter.
Declined?
There are many reasons one would do this. The rank above you in your precinct's décomptage might be taken, or sometimes promoted officers do not want to replace their superiors out of respect. And sometimes they just prefer the type of police work available to their current rank. In your case, Lieutenant.
I thought my rank was drunk. What's a décomptage?
Décomptage is the hierarchical system employed by the Revachol Citizens Militia. It means counting down to twos. The lowest rank is junior officer, usually teenagers. Then there are the patrol officers, then sergeants, lieutenants, and then a captain. That's basically it, except for a few kinks.
What kinks?
Kinks like satellite officers and the additional freighter rank I already explained.
The long and short of it is, you're his superior.
Wait, satellite officers?
You are given the title of satellite officer if your partner is quickly promoted through the ranks and you rise with him. You don't seem to be a satellite.
Thanks for explaining all this.
My pleasure.
Such a small yet precious thing. Expensive paper caught between thick plastic, like a fly in amber. It reads...
Serial REV 12-62-05-JAM41.
That's just the serial number. Revachol, Jamrock, Precinct 41, with some numbers thrown in there for good measure.
Date of issue 7th of November 1950.
4 months ago.
Or
I'm
50.
guessing that's when you were promoted to the rank of Lieutenant W. Freighter. A new badge usually comes with a new rank. You seem to have been doing well then.
The pain in your chest tells you you were working yourself to death to earn that rank. The case created a lot of edge you have to take off. The death march really gets us going.
Precinct 41?
Yes, it's the designation of your precinct. 41. Like mine says 57. The 57th is mostly industrial harbor. A lot of asphalt. The 41st is...
He stops.
It's
What?
a tough station to work in. You have all of Jamrock to cover. That district should have 3 precincts, but money is what it is. But then again, it's a legendary district, and a hell of a station too. It must be an honor and a curse to work with people like Price, McCoy, Berdiaeva.
He knew all those people, although they're not from his station. They must be big. The badge in your hand shines as you rotate it. The note is written.
Does it say anything?
This is tangential at best, but the lieutenant's detective instinct is still active.
Read the note.
Someone has scribbled. S. I can't believe the off-site copy is still here. The illiterate ginger kid keeps stealing stuff from the studio, so I had to hide it somewhere safe. You'll find the filament memory with the off-site copy in the frozen ice cream maker. Please take it home, ASAP. It's important. I'd do it myself if I lived in a civilized place with a freezer. Take care. Suliswaf.
I wonder who wrote that
Looks
note.
like someone from that radio game company upstairs. I'm a little surprised they just left their property lying here.
Maybe they had to leave in a hurry.
That's a plausible hypothesis.
Who's the illiterate ginger kid? Oh, come on, Harry, like you don't
Really?
know?
You don't have a single guess?
You mean Kuno?
Oh, I'm sure that child would love to get his hands on the filament memory. Even if he doesn't know what to do with it, he'd probably try to pawn it for speed, based on our encounter.
Do you have any idea where the frozen ice cream maker could be?
I don't know. I assume it's somewhere close to the ice bear fridge.
Well, considering we unplugged it, he should know
Didn't
this.
you see one right next to the breaker box?
But what I'm really here for, there's a big old building here somewhere. I just have to get to it. But the building has a kid standing outside it. And there's a particular thought I want to unlock, but to get it I have to... The wind is corralled by the 4-story buildings around this yard. To unlock the... Birds in the birch tree, barely audible coos come from above. At any rate, I have to talk to the kid to unlock access to it. Then I can spend 100 experience points to unlock another slot, and then internalize it. It's somewhere around here. Sounds of life in the north. A washboard scrubs filth from fabric. Okay, quick travel to the fisherman's shacks is unlocked. Well, that's something at least. I had that happen with the with that stray that let itself in. You should come back here when it snows. A strange feeling. It passes quickly. Quick travel to the church unlocked.
The smell. It's awful and familiar.
Hold on, that is awful.
It doesn't help. You can still smell it. Keep it in now. Don't overreact.
Isn't it just
Breathe.
a rotting fish?
Don't be naive.
What is
Don't
it
you
then?
recognize it? That hideous pungency. Something cold wakes in the pit of your stomach. Fear.
Heads up, Lieutenant. Something's not
The
right here.
lieutenant has already brought a handkerchief to his nose.
Careful here. These floorboards look rotten and weak. Well, I'll tell you what the smell is. It's that guy there. Drank himself to death. But he's not what I'm here after. And of all the things, why did I have to remind myself of Benny Hill just now? Benny Hill had a running gag where he'd be talking to a woman, and he's like, "Do you believe in the hereafter?" And she's like, "Yes, why?" "Good, then you know what I'm here after." But this is what I'm after.
And Mikhail noticed the windows, especially with how there are no windows on the south side. This was to deal with.
A blond man stands next to his son, pointing to the weather-worn ruins. He sees you approaching and smiles.
You officers, come to investigate the historic subtext of West Martinez? I'm Khan Hailostan. You must be Kim Kitsuragi, right? I was just telling my son about this building. Not a lot of people realize the historic significance here. Very rich in hypertext.
Rich in hypertext, huh? Yeah, I bet it looks good in HTML.
Nice to meet you.
Hold on, hypertext?
Yes, hypertext. Young Carp and the collection of cultural hyperlinks.
He's just making up fancy words. This doesn't mean anything.
What was that about the windows?
Oh yes, so Mikhail. They had to deal with monitor glare, especially in the summer. They still had vector monitors back then. That was 49 years ago. So they didn't have windows on the south wall.
You and Kim know each other?
No, I can't say that we've met before, but I've heard of Kim, of course. Mikhail, say hi to the officers.
He rests his hand on the boy's shoulder. The child stays hidden behind the hem of his father's coat, clutching to his verm-themed coloring book.
Mikhail's a little tired today. We spent all night trying to run Orbis on his radio computer. Have you heard of it? It's a programming language used in Grad. Quite tricky, but he wanted to play this Grad-made adventure program. We've been getting really into worms lately. But I assume you're not here for giant worms when there are so many real things to see. Just as I was telling Mikhail before, this is where the Coalition landed in '08. We could be standing on what is the most interesting landmark in Revachol West.
He points to the building again. What's so fascinating about an empty old building?
Aha! But it's not just any empty old building.
He raises his hand to his eyes, springtime sun warming his handsome face. All four of you turn to admire the mural before you.
What not a lot of people know is, this used to be the R&D department of Felt Electrical. And Felt, which now sells ink cartridges mostly, was once a top dog in the turn-of-the-century cybernetics boom.
And they're not talking about cybernetics like in Cyberpunk, just so you know.
Hold on. What's R&D?
Look at this building looming
It looks
over you.
old and weathered. with seagulls picking apart its stone and metal carcass. Bushy undergrowth has taken hold of the collapsed rooftop. Some kind of bird has set up a nest on a broken windowsill.
Wait, what's an R&D department?
Apologies, it's an acronym for research and development. They don't use it anymore.
As if the recherche et développement on the side was not enough of a hint.
You're probably more familiar with RTD, research and technological development.
Mea culpa. You are not familiar with that one either. This man is a bookhead.
I don't think I've ever heard of Feld Electrical.
That's not surprising. Only a vestigial ink cartridge and ferrotape manufacturer remains.
He adjusts his suit
They
jacket.
started out as a midway electronics outfit in Königstein 2 centuries ago. After an aggressive move to Revachol, Feld became a global player in the emerging personal electronics market of the pre-revolutionary era. Still, Tricentennial was beating them in business machines. But Feld had an ace up their sleeve, or should I say they were developing an ace up their sleeve? I'm mixing my metaphors here.
What was that ace?
It was here in Martinez, possibly in this very building, that they developed prototypes for a tape computer.
A tape computer?
An elegant folding mechanism of rollers and ferrotape ribbons, portable enough to be a take-it-home solution. Revolutionizing business machines, possibly even bring them to the average consumer, which is a feat of engineering even today's giants, Rehm, ICN and ZAM, haven't achieved yet.
He grins, admiring the sentence he just produced.
He assumes something like a combat stance, facing the wind.
What happened?
Indeed. What?
The revolution!
The boy wipes his nose on his sleeve.
Unfortunately, their moonshot project never made it to the market. Feld's move to Revachol backfired. The revolutionary government liquefied their assets and expropriated those very advanced prototypes. Possibly from this very building, or one of the adjacent ruins.
He pauses, pointing to the other building, then continues.
All of this was built by Feld, even the boardwalk. Wild Pines built Martinez proper as a resort for their middle management. Feld built this side of town for R&D.
What happened to the engineers, the company people?
Oh, I'm afraid it didn't end well for the boys. But this story is a bit too dark for little Mikhail here. Now, if you were to ask about tape computers...
What did the revolutionaries do with those advanced tape computers?
They used them for military communications, but also to write and send out press releases. The most notorious example being Le Décret de Mars.
What was that?
What's the Mars Decree? I mean the radio transmission sent out to news agencies and world governments by the newly created commune of Revachol on the 7th of March in the year 02. It's a beautiful piece of text, actually. A singer-songwriter I know, Charette, called it a love poem to Revachol on her political concept album, Bon Baiser dans le Lind. You should read it. Every local library in Revachol stocks a copy of the decree. I tried to get Mikhail to memorize it. Tried to. Someone was much too interested in worms to be paying any attention.
The kid takes a peek at the green and silver worm on the cover of the book, already forgetting about this part of the discussion.
How did those tape computers work? Did they work like radio computers?
Actually, no one knows. No one even knows what a computer made entirely of tape would look like. But word has it, they were very elegant, exquisite, alien-looking turn-of-the-century hardware.
He raises his finger, remembering something.
10 years ago, I did a little freelancing, I guess you could say. I was a special consultant for an exhibition at the Womty Dumpty Dum Center in Vredefort, Oranje. It raised the same questions, and we had lengthy discussions with Paul Ockerman, who was head curator at the time. This was before the twins Keith and Guy Jews joined the team, trying to...
Wait, did he just say Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center? What the hell is a Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center? And who the hell are Keith and Guy Juiced?
Okay, what are you talking about?
The Womty Dumpty Dum Center for Contemporary Art. The exhibition itself drew on Lagerman's notion of memory, and so there were some parallels. That's why the head curator, Paul Ockerman, chose to...
Kim, is he making this up?
In fact, I'm not. The Womty Dumpty Dum Center is a place you can visit if you're ever in Vredefort and are ever in the market for an exhibition space / contemporary art research center. But perhaps I should return to the tape computers. As I was saying, the device itself was very elegant, fragile even. One could write directly on the tape using a special chemical solution. The machine would then analyze the handwriting perform operations, and project output onto a white screen. It was a beautiful, delicate thing.
Cool.
Very, very cool. Though I understand the socio-economic causes of the revolution, it pains me to imagine the revolutionaries setting fire to this precious device. But so they did. The Feld playback experiment vanished into the fires of '07.
Wait, the Feld playback experiment?
Yes, the official name of the prototype. Some sources report it as the Feld playback experience, but those are incorrect.
Why did the revolutionaries destroy it?
Who knows? Maybe it was an accident, or maybe they didn't want the technology to end up in the wrong hands. Either way, they're all gone now. All 3 versions of the prototype. Nothing but debris and ashes remain inside that building.
He takes a step back. The boardwalk creaks mournfully in the wind. You're saying that Feld Electrical built this boardwalk?
Yes, they even built a pleasure wheel, but that got destroyed in the war.
Otherwise known as the Ferris wheel.
A pleasure wheel?
The lieutenant looks wistfully at the horizon as if picturing gondolas rising to the sky.
Yes, to lure in their star engineers. This part of Martinez was nothing but reeds before Feld arrived. They had to make the prospect of living here attractive. It was supposed to become a global center for innovation in cybernetics. But history had other plans. But of course, what else?
You look like someone who has money. Do you have any money?
I do have some money, yes, but that's not what's really important here.
Could I have some of that unimportant money, then?
Oh, no, I don't have it on me, officer. I was talking in more general terms.
He looks uncomfortable, his left hand squeezing his
I'm
son's
just
shoulder.
spending time with my kid here, showing him around the lesser-known parts of our hometown. It wouldn't be wise to carry huge amounts of cash on such expeditions.
Not that he would have to worry about being robbed. He looks surprisingly buff. Does he work out?
By the way, do you work out?
I do some Lomantang stick fighting now and then.
Wait, what's that?
It's an anthropological heritage of the Lomantang people. A martial art of sorts, but what not a lot of books mention is that it also carries a cultural significance among the Lomantangs, as it used to be the best means of showing off to look for a bride, which, interestingly enough, brings us to the socio-economic structure of the traditional and rural tribes of the Lomantang Isles, which...
He goes on to give you a detailed overview of their way of life, the amiable, slightly nervous smile not once leaving his face. And thank you to the authors for not giving me a wall of text to read.
But anyway, I'm boring you with details again. You were saying?
I'm not really interested in the practice, I just want to know how often you work out.
Lomantang stick fighting is a little like a Pyrrolidin addiction. I've been practicing it for nearly 20 years now, so you could say that my doses have grown a little peculiar.
Wait, what does this man know about Pyrrolidon addiction?
Hold on, Perholidon addiction? What an interesting metaphor.
You got me, detective. But my history should hardly come as a surprise.
Dad's fighting with sticks every night after dinner for 4 hours. He has a special room for that, and a special costume.
Dear God, we've found Batman.
That's right, Mikhail. It also has a meditative quality. Helps to clear my head. But anyway.
Thank you for all the interesting information.
No, thanks to you for having me and little Mikhail here to pick your brain. A very interesting conversation indeed.
Now, the main reason for doing that is if I want it, I can get the Wanty Dumpty Dom Center, which only takes 42 minutes to internalize. And the thing about Wanty Dumpty Dom, it's kind of reversed in the sense that it gives you a -1 penalty to suggestion for 42 minutes. Then after that, it gives you a -2 to suggestion. But passive checks against encyclopedia gives me 10 XP and 2 real, which is kind of a nice bonus. The only problem with internalizing it is that right there, Encyclopedia 2. So I need to figure out a way if I can increase my int checks. Let's see. I do have a list of the thoughts here. Oh, Actually, there is one way I can raise encyclopedia. I can smoke and then add more dots to encyclopedia. See, that's the thing. You can temporarily boost a stat, like boost your intellect with cigarettes. You damage your health temporarily, but while your intellect is increased, you spend the skill points, and the skill points don't go away when your intellect decreases. So, for example, if I had Boyadero, which I'm not sure I have access to. Yeah, there's a way to get that, but if I had Boyadero, cigarettes would give +2 to int. Then I could spend 2 more points on encyclopedia and have a +3 in encyclopedia instead of just that +1. Or I could do, again, if I had it, I can pick it up later, but there's one called Jamais Vu. Gives me a -1 penalty to encyclopedia, but increases all learning caps by 1. Then I can increase it again by cigarettes. No, come on. Ah. There's also regular law official, which is another one that I don't have access to yet. But that raises all learning caps to 3. And then I do that and increase my int. All of a sudden my learning cap for encyclopedia becomes 5. So yeah, there are ways that I could put more skill points into that. But for now, I just figured I'd come down here and at least gain access to that. Someone must have worked hard to smash the plastic dome. A dead phone, a smashed receiver like someone hung up too hard.
A metal payphone under a yellow plastic dome. You could use it to call someone, unless you're out of change. You hear the tone. The machine is inoperable.
You can imagine why. Calls become terrible sometimes. A kick drum pulse. The music is coming from somewhere on the ice. You feel the shadow of a very large building fall on you. The sign reads Saint Bruns 1147. Dusty pews in the shadows, many seem to be missing. An altar shrouded in dark, or something like that. It's too dark to tell. That church comes into play later. Before you, a drawbridge. It can only be lowered from the other side. A school of fish huddle around the fence post and scatter into the dark. These rusty gears used to turn the whole machine. The building before you housed the engine. Must have been a big one. The chain trails off into the ocean to who knows where. The barrel has recently been discarded. It still smells of fuel oil. Now the reason for checking all these green orbs is really for the cash. Cigarette butts cleaned away under a rock. Brand Tiumutiri. You make a mental note. Seems important somehow. Someone's made a campfire here a long time ago. A rusted, broken control box for the radio relay tower. The ladder is too rusty to climb. The sea air has eaten away at it. A scented scarf. Tiny inlets there, off in the far distance where the post trailed toward. Not a whole lot out here. Oh hey, a white polo shirt and 14 cents. Rear tire of a motor carriage adorns these reeds. Rust-eaten letters read, M.A.Z. Mazout. Tiny cages, carefully constructed. The soggy logs smell of ignition fluid, still they won't light up. It's almost impossible to get a fire going this close to the ocean. Heavy military blockades riddled with bullet holes, crumbling. A buoy bobs in the water. The number on it says 11. And coincidentally, that's Lena's husband there. But first, before I check that, 45 cents.
Go. Nice and easy. No way out, little guys. Not out of this jam.
There's a cylinder on the ground in which the man is arranging some netting. It looks like some kind of trap. He notices you.
Who's there? Oh, the police. Hello, officers.
His self-conscious enthusiasm renders his movements ungainly. He looks like your understanding of a scientist.
Is that the police? Why are the police here?
Don't worry, Gary. I'll handle it.
You must be Morel, the cryptozoologist?
To what do I owe the pleasure?
Lena sent me. She's been really worried about you and is waiting for you to get back.
Of course. Thank you for passing along the message. That damn water lock is broken, and we can't go all the way around the 881.
The water lock's been fixed. It was fine when I crossed it. Withhold the whole story.
Oh, good. We should really be getting back. Gary could use a hot shower and a warm bed.
Did he say we can go back now?
Yes, Gary. We can go soon. If you see Lena, tell her I won't be long.
Sir, your wife is waiting for you.
I just have to do one more round. See if the phasmid has taken the bait. Then we're going.
Tell me about this phasmid you're looking for.
Well, first of all, it's damn difficult to find, which is why we've been knee-deep in the reeds laying traps for it.
What makes it so difficult to find?
Good question. Being a phasmid of the order Phantasmodea, a ghost insect, it disguises itself as plant matter. In this case, the reeds. Awful lot of reeds around, aren't there? And I suspect it may have also developed other specialised techniques to protect itself from predators, or scientists, in our present case.
What sorts of specialized techniques is it using
It's
to
my
hide itself?
hypothesis that it has evolved certain electrochemical defences that allow it to interfere with animal perception, impeding pattern recognition, confusing the visual cortex. But I cannot describe how these defences work, much less how they evolved, without studying a live specimen.
How big is this phasmid?
I'm expecting it to be quite giant. One known species of phasmid, called the Megaphasmodeozoensis, is about the size of a grown man's forearm. So,
He leaves the conclusion up to you.
Seems puny, to be honest.
Why are you so interested in the stick bug? It doesn't seem to be as colorful as some of the other cryptids I've heard about.
Typical rookie assumption. Insects are much more sophisticated creatures than those unversed in zoology give them credit for. Even simply catching a glimpse of the Insulindian phasmid would be the apex of of any cryptozoologist's career. But to study it and its defences, find out how it stayed hidden so long.
He shakes his head.
Glory itself.
What have you discovered about it so far?
Very little, I'm sorry to say. No one's ever captured a specimen, so all our information is based on first and third-hand accounts.
So no one's ever found one?
Not yet. That's what makes it a cryptid.
And I know this is a spoiler. It's a spoiler warning. Won't he be jealous when we actually meet one? And it's bigger than he thinks. Those little traps wouldn't hold it.
Just out of curiosity, if there's no proof of its existence, how do you know it's real?
I know it's real.
The cryptozoologist says, brusquely enough that even he seems taken aback by
By
it.
which I mean, I've heard enough first-hand accounts to believe quite firmly that the Insulindian phasmid is more than mere superstition.
Lena said there's been a sighting of it.
Yes, the most recent sighting was by a couple of teenagers along the coast here. That's what brought us to Martinez specifically. It's the first credible sighting in several decades. Admittedly, it's an unusual location for this species, but with all the sewage runoff upstream, it probably doesn't matter much anymore.
Maybe it's died out.
I have to resist the thought. Such an extraordinary creature is doubtlessly highly resilient. After all, it's generally thought to be capable of parthenogenesis.
Parthenogenesis?
Yes. The females don't need males to reproduce. Makes it easier for a species to survive in adverse conditions.
That's pretty clever.
Yes. The Insulindian phasmid is a very clever insect. That's why it's so damn difficult to catch. But as a scientist, I'll try my best to remain dispassionate.
There's nothing dispassionate about the way he talks about the insect.
Tell me more about these traps.
Well, they may not look impressive, but Lena designed them quite cleverly, so I'm sure they'll do the trick.
Lena designed the traps?
Yes.
What are you using as bait?
Locusts. Nearly all known phasmids are herbivores, of course. But we've hypothesized that the Insulindian phasmid might occasionally prey on other insects.
Well, there are insects that do that.
Inside the traps, a number of locusts crawl and tumble over one another in a tiny, chittering swarm.
So how do the traps
Simple.
work?
Attracted by the locusts, the phasmid crawls down the funnel and, having eaten its fill, can get back out. At least, that's the intention. The net isn't a perfect solution, but we didn't want to use anything that might damage the specimen's delicate exoskeleton.
What will you do if they don't work?
They'll work, I assure you. The predatory hypothesis, using locusts as bait, accounts for the failure of previous efforts by other teams, which use plants. We have given this some thought.
The traps do seem to be deftly and thoughtfully constructed. It's clear the cryptozoologist's wife knows what she's doing.
Let me ask you about
Yes.
something else.
What?
How did you become a
I've
cryptozoologist?
just always liked animals and puzzles. Searching for cryptids is a bit of both.
So you're living your childhood dream out here.
It's not child's play. Just because I have to traipse through the mud every so often.
Have you ever discovered a cryptid?
No. Very few cryptids are ever discovered, and not for a lack of trying. To stay hidden is a cryptid's primary quality. It's even in the name, cryptid.
So how many have been found?
Of the list of cryptids kept by the Cryptozoological Society of Chemnee, which is 4,082 items long, about 2,000 have been confirmed as hoaxes. 2 are categorised as confirmed discoveries. The rest are in differing stages of discovery, refutation, and data collection.
Only 2 have proven to be real?
Yes. The Chateauquin forest pygmy, who turned out to be an extinct species of primate, and a cave salamander from Yugograd, who is, honestly, quite unremarkable. It's in a zoo somewhere. We cryptozoologists are brutally honest with ourselves, more so even than the public. With cryptids, most cryptids are hoaxes or they are never found. That does not mean we should stop searching.
Then the Insulindian phasmid will be the 3rd.
Indeed. If our expedition is successful, every paper in the world will report on it. From Revachol to Duchanteau. It will be a zoological miracle.
The hair on your arms stand up. Electricity. Sounds like reeds hissing.
Thanks for explaining that. Now about something else.
All right. What cryptids precisely? I usually discuss these things with specialists, so I don't know what.
Just tell me about a cool cryptid, any cryptid.
No offence, officer, but I'm not much of a pedagogue. I don't know what I would have done if Lena hadn't persuaded me to go back to field research. You should ask her if you want interesting stories. Me? I'm not a people person, unless you haven't noticed. And I don't make a good lecturer. My strength lies in field work and persistence.
Enough tales then.
By all means. By woman, you mean my wife, I assume? I will. My wife understands that just as well as anyone.
He looked south where Lena would be.
Come on, Morale. We've been soaking out here for days. It's time to go back.
And leave the traps? Absolutely not. I won't let Lena down.
Come on, she wants us back. I'm soaked up to my nuts over here. We'll both catch reed crabs if we don't dry out soon.
I didn't know the phasmid was so important to Lena.
Of course it's important to her. She's seen it. A verified sighting, on record. One of only 4 this century, and it's hers.
She's seen it?
Really? She sighted it? She didn't tell me that.
That's how we first came to know one another, in fact. But that's her story to tell, not mine. Suffice to say, it's long been our dream to find proof of the Insulindian phasmid together. I can't abandon course now.
Another cough into his fist this time.
His spirit may be willing, but his body might be too old to endure the rigors of the coast.
Maybe you could go back to the whirling, warm up, come back to check the traps later.
No. The traps need to be monitored on a regular schedule. What would we do if the phasmid were to starve while we were sipping tea at the hostel?
He's dead set on this. I could go for some trap setting.
What if we check the traps for you?
I didn't expect you to take such an interest in our work here, officer.
Cryptozoology and detective work are similar.
Yes, indeed. Both require a great deal of research, attention to detail, and, above all, persistence.
Where are the traps?
There are 4 in total. One is to the south, on this little peninsula, by the boathouses there. It's very near. Another we set in Land's End, to the northeast. It's behind a small sand dune there, on your way to the old radio tower, after the church. The third is set near the canal, where you crossed, by a concrete slab. A big thicket of reeds going up the slope, and among them...
He gestures to the trap in front of him.
You should check at least one of those before returning to this one, since I just said it. This one's more of a technicality, but still, better safe and stupid than sorry.
That seems like a lot. Do we really have time for this extracurricular venture?
The pursuit of knowledge is its own justification.
Is it?
What do I do if there's a phasmid in one of the traps?
Bring it to me at once. Just make sure the trap is closed tight.
What if I encounter it in the wild?
That's highly unlikely, officer. But in the event you do, I'll spray you with a pheromone mixture I developed.
Did you hear that? Pheromones. You were right about the teenagers.
So it really was the phasmid that made the teenagers make out.
I doubt there is any connection there. Anyway, these pheromones will attract the insect to you, or at least prevent it from bolting at the sight of you. It's quite potent. Should last you about a week.
Lay it on me.
Wise choice.
This is the smell of dying reeds, of longing crumbling into the water.
I hope you're not buying this. It dispenses it without letting you touch the canister, so it would be precious like holy water.
It is precious. A single dose cost me 50 real to develop. Not that I expect you to understand self-financing one's own research.
Right.
Let's get to it.
Which means you two can pack up and go back to the whirling.
Finally, someone's talking sense.
Thank you for your help. Gary and I will start breaking down camp. If you have any more questions, now's the time to ask. We'll be gone once you get to it.
What about his eager-to-leave friend Gary there? Talk to him too, perhaps.
I'll get going. And talk to this guy.
Hello, I'm Gary. Very generous of you to help us out, officer. Yellow man. I mean, officer.
The lieutenant raises his eyebrows slightly and takes out his notebook. Yellow man. That sounds awfully familiar. Something to keep in mind for later.
I'm just waiting for my friend Morel to finish up with his insect traps so we can return to civilization.
Not a lover of the great outdoors?
I like nature, just not this bloody coast. It's mostly drunks and degenerates that come here.
Nobody's perfect.
Oh, I've been tempted. But someone has to stay strong for Revocol.
His gaze shifts to the pile of soggy logs at his feet. You know anything about the man hanged behind the whirling in rags?
Oh, so that's what the RCM in Martinez is about. Great. Great to hear someone's finally taking care of that.
So you do know something about it?
No. Nothing. He was some kind of mercenary. But everyone here knows that. I'm just glad to hear you're looking into it. That's all.
He's not feeling very comfy in his clothes, is he? Strange.
Are you a cryptozoologist too?
No. I help Morel with research sometimes, and I've learned some things along the way. But I don't usually go in for picnics like this on my own.
There probably is a follow-up to this, but you can't think of any. Doesn't matter. Waste of time anyway. Gotta keep moving.
You were surprised to see my colleague, Lieutenant Kitsuragi.
Not many Sealites here, or anywhere, other than Sail. I meant no offense, truly.
The lieutenant is a native of Revachol.
Oh, yes. Of course he is. I was just speaking about his connections. Let's change the subject, okay?
Is this your mug?
My mug? Why would you think that?
His eyes widen at the sight of the mug. He's seen it before, all right.
You look like the kind of guy who might have a collection of mugs like this, home in his colonial mug collection.
How do you mean? Forgive me.
He's trying not to look afraid, because that would be incriminating. Yet, he is.
Just admit it, man. You put the mug in the trash container behind the whirling.
Maybe. Okay. Yes, I did. I know I shouldn't have, and I am very sorry, officer. You're not going to find me, are you?
Nah, I just want information.
Ooh. Thank you. You won't regret this. I won't use another man's property to dump my garbage ever again. I don't know what got into me, really. Work has been stressful lately. Damn Koiko's price dumping us out of competition.
What did you do, Gary?
Nothing. Just answering some questions. Helping out the law.
Here we go. Start pumping that sweet info.
How did you get into the trash container?
I know a guy who works with the trash collection services, CS Municipal. He gave me a master key for the trash containers of Martinez.
Why would you need to get into everyone's trash?
So I can use the Whirling's trash compactor to store my own stuff. Garbage disposal is expensive as hell. The damn Bohemians run it like a mob. I'm sorry, okay? I thought I could cut costs. I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have disgraced myself.
Disgraced? No need for the histrionic, sir. It was, after all, just a trash container.
He studies his reaction. Gary doesn't answer.
Gary, did you put the clothes of a murder victim in that trash container?
Officer, please. Let me explain. It's not like that.
Do.
I was only cleaning up. I live right across the yard from where he was hanged, and I saw him stripped naked. All the clothes lying around in the yard, smelling. People are animals, you know?
Okay, then what happened?
Then I came out to clean up the rags, because no one else would. I put them into the Whirling's trash, along with a broken mug, admittedly.
He changes his mind mid-sentence.
Okay. I was coming to throw the mug away, and, well, I threw the mug there and the clothes too.
Right. It was just civic duty.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. Civic duty.
As he shifts uncomfortably, a series of clicks, like the clinking of glass beads against one another as they roll across a hardwood floor. You've heard this sound before, but where?
You wouldn't know anything about the victim's missing armor, would you?
Armor? No. I mean, yes. Of course. I know he was wearing armor, but I don't know anything about it.
There's something going on here. You should observe him more closely after this topic is concluded.
What's that strange sound?
What sound?
Don't mess with me. I think you know what I'm talking about.
I haven't the slightest. There's lots of weird stuff out here in the reeds, though. Insects, trash. Could be the wind shifting some garbage nearby.
Every day, the wind shifts the reeds and whatever was left in them. Tambourines and condom wrappers, plastic and glass bottles. The smell of decay.
Let's move on for now.
I hope I could help your investigation, in my small way.
Don't be so relieved yet, Gary. This bad cop may have been in your apartment, admiring your mug collection. Perhaps a little intimidation?
So, Gary, you live nearby in an apartment in Martinez?
Sure do, officer.
His eyes narrow slightly. He's wondering where this is going.
We'll return to this later.
Of course.
We'll return to it later because I want to quick save.
Officers.
That shirt looks very uncomfortable on him. Look at the buttons, barely keeping that thing together, as if something is ready to rip out from underneath.
Something worn underneath it?
Yes, like a piece of ceramic armor, for example. One that makes a clicking sound when the plates meet each other, resembling pearls or marbles, stolen from the corpse in the yard near where he lives.
I see you're a connoisseur of high-quality combat gear.
I knew you'd figure it out, officer. I'm sorry I didn't tell you at once.
He unbuttons the shirt.
I was ashamed of what I did. And I didn't want you to know.
You see gleaming white ceramic shine underneath. A thin layer of interlocking plates covers his torso.
Gary, what's going on?
Later, Morale. I've got apologizing to do.
No, you've got explaining to do.
Give me that armor.
He sighs again, hangs his head, and unbuttons his shirt fully. A cuirass that matches the dead man's boots comes into view. Soon it is in your hands, smelling of his sweat, but so light to hold, like a bag of cotton. This is it. This will protect your mortal shell. Don it and live.
Why did you really put those clothes in the trash?
Everyone was picking those pieces off him, and I was watching them do it. And they'd scattered his clothes all over the yard. Everything was smelling.
He looks at his feet.
So I went there to take out the trash and started cleaning up. All those rags on the ground, him swinging up there, and I had a lapse of honor, sir. I thought, He's a foreigner. They all say he wasn't from here. Only the cuirass was left. So I stripped it off him. It was early in the morning. No one saw me. I took it with me. It was a mistake. Had I known it'd give you guys trouble, I wouldn't have... Fuck.
It's okay. It was a loose end, and you're a tiny tot now.
I'm so fucking sorry I called you Yellow Man. Sealite officers commanded the suzerain's navy. Most of them sided with the king when...
Why did you like me, Gary?
I was weak. I should have told you the moment I saw you.
The hell, Gary?
I'll explain later.
Do you know who killed the Hanged Man?
I always thought it was the Union. Some Union hardasses. Lynched him because of the strike. But almost everyone in town knows that. I wish I could tell you more.
Are we done here, Gary?
Yes, absolutely. I will never do anything like this again.
Thank you for your cooperation. And of course, if we want it, we now have the armor, which increases pain threshold by 1, volition by 1, lowers empathy by 1. Now let's see. 8 skill points and 30 points away from 8 skill points and 30 XP away from another one. Let's see. Bars cover these long dusty windows. And 10 cents. The fence blocks the path. No way on from here. And 10 cents. Take the crowbar. Take the nosebed. And the 525. And 123.
You see a once bright mural towering above you. The signage has peeled off over the years, but you can still make out Feld Electrical RN. A slogan used to intertwine with the loops a long time ago. Now only a shadow of peeled letters remains. It says, tomorrow is just a whisper away.
Looks like tomorrow never came.
The remaining windows rattle from a strong gust of wind. They're covered in a thick layer of grime. They must have been like this for 40 years. Dripping water falls from a high place. All you can see is the shadow of a collapsing staircase.
No, I won't even try. You know, I had a partner once. They called him Eyes, because he had to show me things. It's that bad.
If I'm not mistaken, you get to explore that later. I think there's, like, coming in from below. You would think at first glance that you can look... I mean, that you can climb up to the roof because there's that ladder there, but not really. $64 more cents. makeshift roof. Vagrants have tried to make the boardwalk habitable. A coin-operated weighing machine hasn't been used for a decade. Mega Bino's prescription lenses. +2 to perception. What was that? +2 to encyclopedia, -1 to perception. Vagrants have recently painted the tarp red. Water drips from it.
Someone has left an unidentifiable article of clothing on this railing. It smells really bad.
Take a closer
It's
look.
streaked with dried seagull shit and tangled with pieces of seaweed. A dangling arm suggests that there might be a jacket beneath the crust of filth.
Please tell me you're not taking that with you.
Might be a clue.
You think our suspect is a seagull who's been defecating on unsuspecting jacket?
No.
Me neither.
You should still take it.
A big wine canister, open and empty. This coin-operated viewer has been out of order for years.
There's some tear, an empty cigarette package, and a crumpled kebab wrapper in the trash bin. 2
Examine the
empty
tear.
bottles of Tallulah vodka and a can of black potent porter is all you find. No, there's more in there. Livis strawberry liquor, plus some Pilsner bottles too. Better not pick them up. They seem unhygienic.
A tragedy.
Examine the cigarette package.
Whoever tossed it here was a heavy smoker. The brand name reads Red Astra. Now, this makes partying look bad. Still, don't let it sway you. You're responsible.
Examine the
You
kebab
see
wrapper.
traces of mayonnaise and ketchup on it, as well as a tomato wedge. The wrapper reads Shish Kebab Revachol. It's hard to concentrate in the smell. The sea air brings some relief. A man lies on the boardwalk, his limbs bent and neck turned at an unnatural angle. Right next to him is an empty bottle of spirits. In his cramped hand, a chewing gum wrapper. Half of his body has slipped between the cracked boardwalk, starting with the right leg. The fall has left him broken, contorted like a sad puppet. The smell is not as bad as a 2-week-old corpse, but it's definitely heading there.
Hold on.
The lieutenant squats next to the corpse and examines his face. 2 bulging eyes stare back at him, void of any sign of
Lividity
life.
is faintly pronounced. Whoever this is, he's been dead for 2 days. No longer. We need to investigate.
Another dead body. This is your job. Steel yourself. Calm now. Carefully. Just another day. Just another dead body. Breathe.
Study the man's
He's
clothes.
wearing mud-caked boots, beige trousers, and an old brown leather jacket with a bright blue lining. There are traces of kebab sauce on his chest. The leather jacket suits him well. It must be custom-made.
Search his
You
pockets.
find some sunflower seeds and a rain-soaked library card folded into 2. His jacket feels sodden and heavy under your hand.
Good. We should take a look at that library card after this is done.
Study the
There's some
surroundings.
dried blood on the metal bench, right where the corpse's head rests. The floorboards are rotten and slippery wet around the hole. An empty bottle lies nearby. A chewing gum wrapper is clutched in his fist.
Examine the wrapper.
Grabowski spearmint chewing gum. Green leaves on the cover. The man's mouth is half agape from the terror of the fall.
Look in.
The blackness of death. Stench. You think you see white chewing gum too.
He ate the whole pack, right? It's to cover the smell of alcohol before going home. The worst thing is, I've seen it before. Almost the same scenario. Even the chewing gum. It's always the same.
Examine the
A
bottle.
.75 liter Tallulah vodka with its cap missing. There's hardly anything left inside. It's mid-market spirits with a slight touch of menthol. The man meant to enjoy himself, have a good time.
Tear all around us.
He looks at 2 other bottles forgotten near the coin-operated viewer.
They screech under your feet ominously It's hard to say whether the dead man's weight was the cause of the boardwalk to break. It definitely looks fragile. You see waves churning below. Something cracks beneath your feet.
Examine his
A
head.
dried chunk of blood covers the hair at the back of his head. An open wound. It's sticky and cold to your touch.
I don't see any other major wounds, do you?
Nope, just the one at the back of his head.
Seems like the head wound was fatal. It's exactly the shape of the bench.
The entire boardwalk creaks in the wind as you take a step back.
Study the man
The
himself.
man has fallen through a crack in the boardwalk and hit his head against the metal bench. Coagulated blood covers his black hair. One of his feet is still dangling through the hole. You have to be quite inebriated to fall that bad. Well over a liter of pure ethanol. 3 bottles of wine or 1.5 of spirits. His
Examine his
expression
face.
is dull, like the sea behind him. Drops of water shining on his moustache. His eyes, empty and wide, look frightening in their frozen gaze. Height, 170 to 175 centimeters. Curly hair, stout build. Age, approximately 50 to 60 years.
Who is this
Looks
man?
like one of the locals. He'd have to know this spot to come here. You don't just walk over here.
You look south the way you came.
That's just a lazy assumption. What do you think?
At least this man knew how to party. Imagine the same scene without the bottle. Now that would be just sad.
I think labeling him as an alcoholic is a bit premature. We don't know anything
We
yet.
do know that he was married. But you're right. Let's not run ahead. For now, all we know is that he's an unidentified middle-aged man found dead on the Martinez boardwalk.
What do you think happened
Death by
here?
misadventure. He slipped and fell through the boardwalk. A truly unfortunate accident. If it wouldn't have been for that bench, he'd be alive.
Someone should be held responsible for this broken boardwalk. It's
They'll
dangerous.
seal this place off after the news reaches the coalition officials. I doubt that they have enough resources to actually repair the boardwalk. Not that sealing it off would keep anyone away. All it does is keep the city council's hands clean.
What about the kebab?
What about it? The deceased ate some kebab. It's probably from a nearby place, maybe in the parks.
Could it be related to the lynching?
No, I don't see anything that points in that direction. For now, let's treat this case as a simple, albeit sad, accident, unrelated to the murder case.
Yes, but what if there's a killer on the loose? 2 suspicious deaths in such a short time frame.
You're right. Connecting it with the lynching is a
Without any
stretch.
further evidence, yes.
Do you think he was drunk?
Oh, yes.
What about alcohol poisoning and liver failure?
Some symptoms of acute alcohol poisoning could have definitely played a role here. Severe confusion, respiratory depression, unpredictable behavior. But I think that death arrived through head trauma, not liver failure.
Right.
It does seem to be a pretty straightforward misadventure, although there's still a question of identifying the body.
What should we do with him?
From where I stand, I can see 2 options. We either take the case and follow the leads to identify the body on our own, or we report back to the station and leave this for our colleagues to handle.
What about field
A
autopsy?
field autopsy isn't necessary if the cause of death doesn't appear to be criminal, and this looks like a simple accident to me. I'd say we should just write down head trauma in the autopsy report and leave it at that. It would save us at least 2 hours of unnecessary work.
You're right. I don't see anything criminal here. Let's
Good
leave it
call.
at that.
The guys at processing can take care of the rest.
We found him. We should finish this.
Alright, we should first examine the library card you found. Then we can call the station from my kinema. Let them know we are taking the case.
The library card is folded into 2 and still slightly wet to the touch. The front side reads, Central Jamrock Public Library Card, issued to Billy Mejean, expires July 53.
Look inside.
Whoever owns this card is an avid reader. You find a list of books written in blue pencil. Radio thriller. Stand a little less between me and the sun. The last one in the list is The Glinton Curve by M. Theobald. A library stamp indicates that the book has been returned. Most of these titles seem to be in the sci-fi genre. Some thrillers too.
Look at the
If
backside.
lost, please return the card to the library. Dial 005-02-55211 or visit us at Moreau Street, 78 Jamrock. Business hours 900 to 1800.
Good. We should give them a call from my kinema. See if we can learn anything about Billy Méjean.
Good idea. There was plenty of information here to go by.
Put it away. We're done with that. Moonshine probably smells like tasty fermentation. Let's see. Far northeast of the Feld building, so that's Land's End. Well, I need to go northeast then.
An old door, worn by elements, guards the depot. The wind has blown a sand dune in front of it. The door hasn't been opened in a long while. You see a handle.
What is this thing anyway?
It's military. A service depot of some sort.
Used to service
Probably
what?
something that is no longer there.
No point even trying to open it. I've got a 1 in 36 chance. Okay, that trap must not be up here. Oh, yes it is.
There's a trap in the reeds at your feet. Looks like the same one you saw Morel set before. Same mesh, same wiring.
Look
the
around.
reeds shake sadly in the coastal breeze, weighed down by rain. They seem to be waiting for something. The wind picks up here, near the Cape's end, surrounding the narrow strip of land from 3 cardinal directions. It's cold for this time of year.
Reach for the trap.
Locusts are crawling around in the trap, confused but uneaten. You see no carnivorous reed phasmid gorging on them.
Big surprise. Anyway, 1 down, 3 to go.
No need to grin. I'm not expecting to find anything. I'm helping some citizens and getting some fresh
I
air.
meant no offense. Just...
The lieutenant doesn't know how to finish the sentence. He looks at you putting the trap back on the ground. Okay, that's 1 trap down. Come on. There we go. Sometimes those routes on the... Sometimes the route to go on the screen can be a little bit hard to find. Okay, let's see. West of the Feld building. This is, ironically, one of the more annoying side quests in the game, just because of all the running around you have to do to find all the traps. And you know, there's still some... Would you keep going, damn it? No boat in the boathouse today. Surprise. Oh hey, magnesium and some oversized superstar sunglasses. And there's another trap. The boathouse is shoddily constructed. A strong breeze might blow it over.
A familiar apparatus lies among the reeds. Another one of Morel's traps, weighed down by stones to keep it in place.
Look
Behind
around.
you, a ruined residential building looms over the reeds, shielding them from the wind. They rustle confidentially, in tune with the pitter-patter of the rain. When this district was booming, the reeds were kept at bay. Nothing obscured the freshly painted facades. Nowhere for drunks and adventurous teenagers to hide. Now only the wind blows.
Reach for the
This
trap.
trap is also full of panicked locusts. No sign of any cryptozoological beast inside.
Another empty trap.
How are you enjoying the cardio, Lieutenant? I'm quite
Always
enjoying
up
it
for a
myself.
good jog. Otherwise, would I still be on this case with you?
He smiles and raises his collar. It's windy. Ancient paint is peeling off the roof of this shaded bench, covered in rust.
A scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall, reaching from one corner to the other.
Even more bullet holes. Something definitely went down here.
Correct. The density of the bullet holes is unusual. Even in a general average bullet hole frequency in Martinez sense. Grim affairs. Meaning this is a lot of bullet holes. Looks like fully automatic rifle fire. Something you don't see these days.
Why not?
The manufacturing and sale of automatic rifles was curtailed after the revolution. The destructive power of such tools proved to be too much. We do need to retain some humanity in this world.
And before I do that, let's quick save. And it's visual calculus? Well, I've maxed that out as it is. Crap.
A scattering of bullet holes is spread across...
Well, hold on. Well, anything I have that would increase visual calculus, I'm already wearing. The sign says, Entrée interdite. An old ticket taker booth, no longer in operation. People paid money to park here? No one would pay now. Okay, let's...
A scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall, reaching from a row of ghostly shades stand facing the wall. There are many of them, a dozen at least, their heads lowered and eyes blindfolded. It's quiet, no sound, no movement. 10 meters away, other shades are lined up in an orderly manner, automatic rifles primed. A gust of wind blows by. The coats of the firing squad flap slowly in the breeze. A single person stands on the side. Droplets of rain fall on the wooden planks, the surrounding sand dunes. The clouds block out any rays of light. A long time has passed since the moment of this fusillading. Rain and brine have since washed all the blood away. Not a trace remains.
What
The
is
abundance
this?
of bullet holes leads to two options. Either an inordinate amount of executions were performed here, or they did not use a conscience round, where only one soldier has the loaded rifle. Looks like this was a mass execution with everyone fully armed.
Look at the people against the
A
wall.
host of men, probably in everyday clothes. ragged from the conflict and covered in dust. They were not sitting, a common practice for executions in some nations, as demonstrated by the height level of the bullet holes. They stand, faced 7 men in combat uniforms and dark coats, holding automatic rifles aimed at the people. Soldiers from some side, but from which one?
Look at the person standing to the
The
side.
commandant, the one who gives the order. Machine gun fire crackling through the air, the lights of the muzzle flashes dancing on his face.
Kim, who is who in this execution?
I don't know. I don't know who died here, lined up beside that horrible wall. It could have been any of the parties involved in the revolution. Perhaps the ones executed here were the loyalist conservatives, killed by the communists at the start of the Civil War. Or it could have been the communists, put to death during the last stretch of the conflict by the coalition forces.
What if it was the Feld personnel when their assets were being seized by the revolutionaries?
Another likely scenario.
Or maybe...
What about people from the coalition, the so-called moralists?
It's very unlikely the coalition forces were the ones who died here. They were always the last ones against the wall. To be honest, if a coalition member was anyone in this situation, it was a commandant, the superior giving the orders.
A cold sea wind blows away the figures.
See, that's... Whoop, hold on. Ah, you can walk across that. But that's Harry for you. He may be a drunken sot, but... 20 cents. He may be a drunk most of the time, but that's the reason why he's on the police force, is because of his ability to make connections like that. The door is not only barred shut, it's inaccessible. A fallen peepo, which is a hat. +2 logic, -1 perception. Come on. I love how I'm supposed to have fast travel, but it doesn't fast travel for shit. Come on, game. I would like to find my way back to the waterlock. But everywhere I go, I seem to hit dead ends. Like that dead end. And that dead end. Well, invisible terrain features. Must have taken a lot of patience to do this. More tribalistic markings. This post is covered in humanoids. A pole screwed into the ice keeps the tent erect. Trash from some unending party.
A pane of eternite has been planted into the snow. 2 poles are holding it up, barely holding it up. It could fall over any minute. A stronger gust of wind might be in.
It looks like a makeshift bridge. Could be convenient.
The pane falls into the icy snow with a soft thunk.
We should ask that girl on the ice.
We'll ask her in a minute. And you can't even click on that. A flower trough where nothing really grows, maybe in the spring. Hard to see the details. The colors, all warm and welcoming, are cozy, though. The street sign is illegible below the graffito. Locked tight. You can't see into the house from this angle. 50 cents. A wedding stone, well worn and covered in rust. Construction material. Whoever planned to build this house left in a hurry. Hey, 65 cents. And 45 cents. And more magnesium. White curtains have been drawn shut. No looking in. Cinder blocks charred, a makeshift fire pit with magazines for lighting. The bushes are too thick and thorny to pass through. Through the broken glass, dusty shelves and a forgotten chair. Difference is you can actually go in this one. A dark red chair in the dim light of the room. Postcard. Bow tie. Well, if I want to increase my drama, I suppose that's one way of doing it. There's a boat tucked away underneath the tarp. The underside of the boat recently tarred. Oh no, you can't possibly just walk there. You have to click and take the slow route or it doesn't go. Oh, of course there's a gate in the fence that I somehow managed to not see. You see dust-covered linens, dried tulips on a bed, a pair of inter-isolary trousers, a bench for passing time if I need it, Footprints in the snow. They lead away from the accident. A bottle drained of all its booze, frozen to the ice. 20 cents. 55 cents. There's the other trap that he was talking about.
This trap's not too hard to spot, once you know what to look for. Keeping it hidden has not been a priority for the cryptozoologist. The reeds bend forlornly toward the sand. You see slabs of concrete north. In the east, the city center hums to you. The constant, distant song, louder on this part of the coast, nearer somehow. And there's that cold again. Always the cold. Nothing but locusts in this trap as well. Definitely no cryptozoological monstrosity.
Empty as all of them. One more of these and we're done.
You getting tired?
No, I'm fine. I didn't mean to complain, it's just...
He's short-winded. The sentence ends there. Yeah, he's getting tired. A breaker box to power the radio pylon above you. Maybe there's something inside. No, but there is something on the roof. Like 55 cents. Traffic beyond the gate, more abandoned motor lorries. More magnesium. And a pair of Jamrock Biker Cop Sunnies. The sign says no entry. Someone scribbled an inverted star on it. Well, on the bright side, after my spinning spree on all those books, someone has broken down the fence and the barbed wire. The swing is missing. No one's been here for a long time. Someone left their music collection beneath the tarp. The smallest church in St. Son's. That's the one I was looking for. Glory to the ghosts of us. Up. Get back out here. You can't collect it from in there, silly man. 50 more cents. Another $1.20. Well, 1 real 20 cents.
Rust peels off the bent iron posts of the swing. The wind whistles through the skeleton of the small house behind you. There's desolation everywhere.
What happened here? The lieutenant looks at the small building. A flock of gray swallows takes off in the distance.
Someone thought they could have a summer house in a bloc obscur. For cheap. It didn't work out. They abandoned it about a decade ago.
Wait, what's a bloc obscur?
A black bloc. A part of the city left unrenovated after the war. Or one that has fallen to gang violence. Or has become inhospitable in some other way.
On aerial photos, bloc obscurs look like dark squares. Hence their name.
So this part of the coast is a bloc obscur.
Practically, it's not an official term in any way, but look around. No sewage, broken power lines, crime, drunks. Life is tough in the blocks. It's no place to build a summer house.
At least they left some old music behind.
Yes. And you picked it up because you're a post-apocalyptic scavenger who collects trash and magnesium blisters.
He gives you a weary smile.
It's not meant as nagging. Just an observation.
We should move. I don't think we will solve the murder with forays into the urban hinterland. At least in this phase of the investigation.
Well, he's not wrong. You could probably take a bath in all the magnesium I found. Yeah, I've got like 13 doses of that stuff. What are these doing in the fish? Franco-Nigerian cavalry boots. boat is floating freely in the water, unmoored. Take that 70 cents. The ladder leads to a school of fish swimming in the kelp. See, I've gone from about 28 real to about 49 real just from all of the stuff lying around. Be right back. I need to dehydrate for a second.
Hi, officer. Anything I can help you with? A fishing village on the seashore. This place doesn't really have a name. It's sometimes called Elysium. The sign on the street leading here is illegible. Has been since they built this place.
You've graduated to Lawbringer now?
Men with authority have their quirks. Comes with never being second-guessed about anything. So what brings you here, Lawbringer? A fishing village on the sea. The sign on the name is Lillian. People call me Netpicker. I think I have time for questions, and that was actually the second one. Sure is. The sun, I call her, coated with a fresh layer of tar just yesterday. It'll take some time for it to dry, assuming the sunny days continue. Hi. Sunny days. You got a problem with that?
No, ma'am. We have no quarrel with sunny days.
Good. It would have been bad news had it turned out it wasn't a sunny day. Bad news for the skiff, bad news for the nets, bad news for the kids.
There's a moment's silence. She looks at the rain streaming down the yellow belly of the boat.
In time, when the sea turns and the winds settle, she will be ready.
Waves wash the sand. A skiff moves across the mirror-smooth sea, far away from here. A lone passenger, a fast sloop in the distance. White sails.
Like I said, fish mostly. Sail the waves, take care of the kids, pick nets. Right now I'm tarring a little skiff. Sometimes I also walk to the beach to see what the sea has given up. The sea is full of surprises. Wood, pieces of glass. Every once in a while we see dead bodies. Human, animal, fish, other odd sea creatures. A mine washed ashore once. Bottles, drugs also. Lost cargo in general. Most of the time it's just wood and glass.
Mines, mines. You need mines.
Well, you're barking under the wrong tree then, officer. I have no interest in floaters. Seen enough of them in my life already. Very unattractive bunch. Unfortunately, the factory sold this one with a 3-year warranty instead of a story. It's to intimidate folks mostly. It's a regular mass-produced sword, like a shovel or an axe. Nothing fancy, just for intimidation. From time to time, people need a lesson in respect. That's just the way it is. Back in the day, I caught the eyes of many men. And believe me, men need a lesson in manners from time to time. Some went to patch their wounds, their lesson learned. Others were more thick-headed. And one of them, I ended up marrying. Gone.
It absolutely does not. We are not going to look for him.
No. There's nothing to find. He's dead. Lost to the waves. He didn't respect the sea. Went out there, drunk like a skunk, and sure enough, one day the boat was found floating empty. The bloated corpse turned up 2 weeks later. Now, before you tell me how sorry you are for my loss, know that it was 4 years ago, and I've moved on. There's only so much mourning you can do for a drunk with sinewy muscles.
She really likes those muscles, though. It's in the way she pronounces sinewy.
Us working folk don't have the luxury to be bedsick with melancholy. I buried him, mourned for an appropriate amount of time, and went on. Life didn't really change that much for me and the kids.
This is neither a touchy nor a very interesting topic for her. She looks like she's ready to go on a date with another, better, drunk. Ask her. Both of you could need some action.
Let's see. Who are you looking for? Well, how can I assist you then, officer? Where are you? This says by signing, I agree to living with construction noise. What exactly is the union building? What a nice idea. Wouldn't have thought that... He has a pen and everything. Here you go. You're welcome.
The scruffy-haired little boy kicks a stone. He can't be more than 5 years old. The other one looks indistinguishable from him. He watches his brother kick the stone with his tongue lolling out of his mouth. This one doesn't say anything, kicking the concrete with his worn-out sneaker.
Lily's Mum.
The stone kicker laughs suddenly. His head is too large for his shoulders. The other one laughs as well. The stone kicking isn't even of very high caliber. Anyone can do that. The stone kicking one becomes frantic all of a sudden, as if that's something to be scared of. The obvious fact that you just stated.
He looks just like me.
The boy doesn't answer. His brother throws another rock. The rock kicker was just being shy, but now he's enthusiastic again.
You're bad with kids. Maybe I am. Now, how about some actual police work? We are not getting anything here.
Hello, mister.
She clutches a small stuffed animal. Occasionally, she twirls it around.
It's Lammy. He's my friend. Sort of. Like...
Lambie is a stuffed lamb that, admittedly, has seen better days. One of the eye buttons is missing, and the fur is tattered in several parts.
Lammy usually doesn't like strangers. But you're also fuzzy, like Lammy. It's a grouse!
Wasn't Gar, the cafeteria manager, trying to repair a piece of taxidermy?
Sure. I mean, you already took it. I don't like it anyway. It looks angry. Yes. They don't want to play with me. They're older and play outside. They look the same. Sometimes I can't tell them apart. They look identical. Yes, I am. Little Lily. You know my mom? That's nice. My mom is great. She's never angry or anything. Bye!
You're not sure about the melody, but it might be South Samaran, possibly Sigayan, also known as the apricot suzerainty.
Welcome to the fishing village. Please lean in closer. I have cataracts.
Then how does she know you're here?
Oh, welcome, police officer. We don't cause any trouble around here. And we don't want any trouble either.
We are not here to cause any trouble, madame.
Oh, of course. Last time we saw you around here was 12 years ago. You also came to take care of trouble then. Wish you did. But still, in Martinez, you're considered an ill omen. No, not you personally. I meant the RCM. Some of the men got into a fight. One of them killed another, locked himself in that woodshed over there. He was brooding, needed some help opening the door. You got it open for him and took him to think about what he'd done in a more secluded place, somewhere more quiet. Oh, the usual. Dark tidings. Black hound.
That's you, all right. A black hound licking your own heels.
Maybe they are afraid, because you're an ill omen, but you're still welcome here, as long as men with guns aren't chasing you. And maybe even then, because that's the kind of fishing village we've built. I'm sorry there's not a lot of room to park the motor carriage, and not a lot of houses, or a lot of people. My kids are long gone, searching for treasure. So are others. Ah, look at me ramble on. What brings you to us? Stay? Most people here are trying to leave. That said, if lodgings is what you're looking for, I've got a free room in the shop. I won't charge you for it. Take it as a gesture of goodwill from the village to the RCM. Don't make an old woman regret opening her house to the police.
Well, if you are not in the hostel in the morning, I'll know where to find you. Here, in a shack.
Just us. It's barely a village anymore. We almost don't exist. This is pretty much a non-place. A gap. A blank spot on the map. Just a cluster of nameless shacks on a nameless street. Well, There's Lillian and her kids. A few new folks live in the house to the east, but they're away right now. And then there's the drunks. Not a pretty sight, but there's little we can do about it. Home is home, even for them. Lillian is tough. Tougher than the men here, at least. If it wasn't for her and the kids, this place wouldn't have a spark of life left. Sooner or later, you'll see for yourself. Don't have to look long to find these guys. Over there, you can find more of the same. Shacks and trees growing wild. That's the pox.
Between here and Jamrock, a dusty sea of old trees, all covered in industrial soot. Small houses under them, an overgrown park.
An old military hospital and its surroundings. Or it used to be, during the time of the suzerain. After the war, it was turned into a goodwill hospital for shell-shock veterans and folks looking for some quiet in the old sanatorium gardens. Now the area is crisscrossed with nameless streets and makeshift cinder block houses, shacks as far as the eye can see. The goodwill ran out. The staff left and the place was shut down. It's long gone by now. Here, for you, no officer. The only money we have here is some coins the drunks tried hiding from their women and then forgot about.
She nods, rinsing another piece of cloth.
Not much. There's the abandoned church, the DeLorean Church of Humanity. It's been there since before my time, even. Some things just don't fly, officer. Look around. Who'd go to church here? They built it 300 years ago. Must have been nicer then.
So, they don't hold services there anymore? The Ecclesiastes?
No, we've tried, but things just keep happening. Crime, accidents, other things. The place never stays open. It's a pity. It used to be such a nice church. Before you get to the church, there's some ruins, an apartment complex, or some kind of electrical plant. Run-down bunch of houses, empty. Of note, the old fish market up on the boardwalk, but it's closed. What? You're one of those real estate people with big plans? If you want a development opportunity, you can check out the abandoned building over at Land's End. Used to be a supply depot, we think, sending goods and ammo across the bay. It's jammed shut though. We tried to get in, see if there was anything to sell or scavenge, but it's impossible. And now you know everything there is to know about this coast. Me? No one. Just an old washerwoman. Mother called me Isabel, if that's what you're asking. And my married name is Sadie. Now it's your turn, Mr. Quite a handle you got there. So many titles. One of them double. Eh? What's this about? Come now, I can't read all this scribble. Tell me what it says. Huh, I might be half blind, but it looks like part of the village is gonna be a street. The best part. The part we need to get out of our houses. I see Lillian's name is already here. The girl is too trusting. Either way, I won't sign union papers. I've seen it all before. You think they've got our interests at heart? Rich men are always selling poor men promises they never plan to keep. Then the poor get pushed out of their homes and the rich get a little richer. That's the way it goes. So no, I don't trust the fat man, and neither should you.
She is headstrong. but there's a slight hesitation in there. You may be able to convince her. These are some wonderfully regular pants. Not too tight, not too loose, moderate in every sense. You'll blend right in at some pleasant dinner party. I know you do. These Inter-Estellari pants are like wearing a perfect compromise in your nether regions. No one will call the moral intern on you like this, that's for sure. You're a little more moralist now, buddy. A little more normal, even if you didn't want to be. Makes sense? This is what wearing boring office trousers does to you.
Our tenant, the policeman. I hope the waves don't keep you up at night. What can I help you with?
It's really in her best interest to listen to you. You know how the world works.
Cops bribing citizens. Doesn't it usually? Do you know who takes the cream off these deals? Have some integrity. Yeah.
It's okay. You know, there could be another way.
Our tenant, the policeman. I hope the waves don't keep you up at night. What can I help you with?
Like ocean waves shaping the coastline, you will wear it down.
I've heard that pitch before plenty. Building this, building that, new jobs, new blood. Somehow the people here always end up holding the short end of the stick. Were you dropped on the head as a kid? Save your breath, officer.
We really should focus on something.
You know, there could be another way. You need to go someplace. The door has seen better.
I'll wait outside to give you some time. After we are done with the day, I'll still be staying.
The key turns. A brisk coastal wind still howls against the window of the shack. Occasionally, the waves crawl in under the foundation, producing a low hum. The room feels muffled, like you pulled your hat over your ears. Outside, it is cold and windy, but you're inside, and it feels safe and warm.
What is this place to you?
Overhead, you hear the forlorn shriek of seagulls. Far below the birds, a wooden boardwalk filled with abandoned stands, tables and benches, echoes from a long-lost time. A middle-aged man stands in a rundown shack on the edge of a fishing village, listening to the heater hum on the wall. Outside, the howl of the wind has picked up. The waves crash against the stilts again. It's as if you think the thought, but in someone else's voice.
Look under the floorboards.
An old mirror hangs on the wall. You see the reflection of your face in it, such as it is, without the expression. It's just hairy. On the table, you see a bowl of water, a rough soap, and next to it, a small hand mirror. A straight razor soaks inside the wash basin. On the table, you see a bowl of water, a rough, like an artist with a brush or a master swordsman. You use the small mirror and the straight razor with some soap to remove all that unkempt hair from below the nose line. The sharp blade chafes against your skin, producing a scratching sound. The surface underneath the beard feels tender, the air brushing against it chilly. They feel so smooth, surprisingly so. A feeling of freshness overcomes you, as if you just came from a cold bath. The water reflects back a vague image of your clean-shaven face. Despite the bulbous nose, unkempt hair, and persistent swelling, you look a little younger, maybe. You almost look like a professional.
Our tenant, the policeman. I hope the waves don't keep you up. Eh? What's this about? Come, a deal with who? It's the Deborder Union, isn't it? I don't believe that. Police showing up here? Thought so. So what do the club... Huh? I might be half blind. I see Lillian's name is... I've seen it all before. Then the...
She is headstrong, but there's a slight hesitation.
Our tenant, the policeman.
Like ocean waves shaping the coastline.
Our tenant, the policeman. I hope the waves don't keep...
Logic and reason won't work on this old bat. Better go for shameless emotional manipulation. What's the grandmother's deepest vulnerability? The grandmother card will do the trick. Last chance to turn back.
What do you mean? What's going to happen? We are gonna grow up, of course. I raised my own kids in this village and they are doing fine for themselves. They are good kids. I brought them up the right way. No, they moved to Faubourg for work. Well, I imagine they'll grow up and leave too.
You've got her. Now just reel her in.
Then...
You have her. Now twist the knife. Wait. Let her come to it herself.
I don't believe the Fat Man's Youth Center is going to change anything. But what other choice do we have? It's not like the coalition government is coming to save us. I won't be around much longer anyway. Not with the dampness in my bones. If they want to take a chance, who am I to stop them? We do. But how do we do that?
Reluctantly, she takes the pen from your hand, scribbles her name on the line, and hands everything back to you.
See that you didn't just get us all screwed. I might be half blind, but I have a good memory for treachery.
Let's go, Melit.
I like to see him try. If anything, I am gonna muscle him out with construction noise.
That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. She doesn't seem surprised by this sudden twist.
Get out of here, trying to ruin my day. And that youth center better be a good one, or you'll have trouble from me. I wield an army of drunks. Do not underestimate the effect of such a force if it's pointed to the right direction.
Don't you call her? Yeah! Don't call Abigail! Abigail. Don't you fucking call Abigail.
Never thought you'd see such a thing in your life. But this guy's a little too drunk.
Don't you fucking call her! Hear me? Abigail? Don't call Abigail!
The man hiccups, then mumbles something unintelligible.
There's no use in yelling at...
The drunk man starts coughing, a really disgusting, hacking cough. He does not sound well at all. He snorts and beckons you to lean in closer.
Don't call Abigail. Don't call Abigail. Don't call.
There was little chance he'd be a reliable witness.
Good to see you, friend. Do I have deals set up for you, buddy boy? So what do you want? I got smokes. They're cheap. Very cheap. I got Pilsner. Great deal. You won't get a better deal on that piss. Spirits I can let go for 300 real. I also have speed. And by speed, I mean amphetamine. Aye, by amphetamine I mean speed. Aye, it's what I said. Good, my man. Now what can I offer you? Oh, the system's been good to old Rosemary here, and I'm milking her like a bitch goat in the backyard. You see, friend, man makes his own luck, and I made mine real good. Got my hands on 3 bottles of liquor exquise, sold 2 to the fellows around here, and immediately invested the profit. Bought cigarettes, bought beer, even bought a bit of speed. And look at me now, I got everyone on my hook. Hook 'em and cook 'em, huh? You want to buy something? Let's keep it moving. See, friend, it's real valuable. Worth every real, if you catch my drift. Got it from a bit of a business venture. You know, it's funny actually. What? This guy. Oh, this is medicinal spirits. The good stuff. Got it from the doctor's office. I got one of those scientific ampoules a few months ago. Torpedo, they call it. It's supposed to keep a man from taking a drink. Didn't stop me for shit, that's for sure. 5 lemons with half a pack of butter and you're good to go. It really isn't. In a week, the goddamn kidneys started giving me all kinds of hell. Finally, the missus took me to a private doctor's office. Not a charity, the real thing. Those arseholes charged me 4 real to remove the damn thing. But I came out on top after all. The idiots left me alone in there. Now, I used to teach high school biology. I know what doctors use to preserve dead things. It's like 3 cans of this blue medicinal stuff from the back room. Threw the snakes out and voila! What's left is this beautiful blue stuff. 98.7% almost pure alcohol. Two I already sold to these fine gentlemen here. But this last one is yours for 3 real, if you want it.
Don't say it.
Yeah, be careful. It's extremely flammable. One spark and the entire city of Revachol is wiped off the map.
Feels like someone set a mustard field ablaze right inside your nose, then drenched it in tear gas. Your nose is a singular source of pain, but at the same time you don't remember the last time you felt so alive. In all fairness, that might be attributed to the retrograde amnesia.
So, what's the deal, friend? Want the spirits or not? So what do you want then? In the civilized world...
Hey, tequila! Good to see you. How's business? How's the whole reality situation treating you? So what's happening? Yeah, Tequila Sunset. How are the, high-concept, reality-based adventures proceeding? It's good to hear that you're on top of things. Talking about used to, did you know that I used to be a real mover and shaker? Sadly, things aren't going that well in Idiot Doom Spiral Land. Haven't found those keys yet, haven't won that great piece of ass back. No word from my business buddies. It's you. You're Tequila Sunset. We've met before. Don't you remember?
No, you sure don't.
Aha. Do you want to know how Tequila Sunset came to be? Let me take a sip to moisten up my chords. Tequila Sunset rolled into Martinez last Friday, and by Tequila Sunset, I mean you. The man, the myth. Hey, let's not jump ahead of ourselves. This is your story. Stop interrupting. You got here on Friday to solve a case, hoping to be the early bird who gets the worm. And by the worm, I mean the buzz. Because as far as I know, all you did was get pissed drunk. Word on the street is you went around the local hostel telling people that you're a police officer, and that it would be really fucked up if you shot yourself in the head, right in front of them. That's pretty high concept, if you ask me.
Does that sound like something you'd do? Yeah, probably. The lieutenant's brow is furrowed. He's listening as casually as he can.
It was a late Saturday night when we, the Union of Moribund Alcoholics, were getting our drink on. Nothing remarkable about this, we get our drink on 24/7. Makes everything warm and glowy. I trust you know the feeling. One moment we hear the sound of a motor carriage revving up somewhere on the plaza, followed by a series of dings and bang. Naturally, loud noises pique the interest of anybody owning a pair of ears. That's just the reality we're in. Anyway, there was a brief silence. A gasp of silence, if you will, followed by a real commotion. We heard the carriage careening towards the coast at top speed. Sounded like someone jumped the canal. We grabbed our brewskis and rushed to the jetty. Never underestimate the speed of an alcoholic. What we saw was a sight to behold. A beat-up police carriage containing you. Right there on the beach. You revved the engine and screamed at the top of your lungs, "The time hath come!" So, naturally, being the curious cat I am, I asked what time hath come. To which you replied, "The time hath come for tequila sunset, the end of all things!" Your reality contracted. You jammed the pedal, plowed right off the jetty, and through the ice.
Your hands cramp on the steering levers.
We ran towards the ice, whilst you crawled your way out, miraculously unhurt, covered in seaweed and shit, like some kind of sea monster. When we finally got there, you were sitting on the beach crying. You said that your badge and uniform were in the car. It was too late to get in there, though. The carriage had sunk too deep. Recognizing a brother in need, we offered our condolences and invited you to party with us, which you naturally agreed to.
What else was there to do? Thank you, brothers, for your helping hand.
We asked about the whole tequila sunset thing, and you told us it was your name now and insisted that we all call you that from then on. No, that's just what your mother called you. Your real name is Tequila Sunset. Just embrace it, brother. Hours. It was an all-night drink-a-thon. Then, at some point, I think it was Sunday morning, you got belligerent and wanted to talk about Revacholian women. How they're beautiful and also whores and so on. How one of them fucked you real bad. After a short while, you crossed the event horizon, looked sullen, got up, and left without saying anything.
Wow, that's quite a story.
Yeah, I bet Tequila's a fucking legend around the precinct. You must be proud to work with him.
If you only knew.
You were pretty vague about it, but you kept saying you got fucked real hard, and that we've all been fucked too.
No one's fucked me. I do the fucking around here. Abigail!
It seemed pretty painful, to be honest with you. If I had to guess, I'd say you're still working through some shit. Beside your gun and your badge, you said something about your hope or heart or something. To be honest, the details are a little hazy. In retrospect, I guess you lost your motor carriage too? That's a big one. You told us that they were a bunch of fucking losers whose main interest was cramping your style. No specifics, though. It was more about you that night. You were the star of the show. Yeah, you said it was no biggie and that you'd solve it in no time. And that you didn't need anyone to do it. You're doing it solo now.
A lot of cops go solo and hermit once they reach that level of alcoholism.
Yeah, you said that it was okay that you crashed your carriage because the spectral hand of the market was guiding you. This was before you started talking about how the pinkies were always trying to fuck you. You kept apologizing for being such a bad cop and for the damage you've inflicted on everyone around you. You also kept pausing to knock the heel of your hand against your temples, saying, "Stupid, stupid, stupid." It's a hard thing for a man to confront his past. That's why I avoid mine at all costs. Whoop-de-doo. So now I'm a fucking storyteller. Right. Why not? Better than a beach bum. It depends, really. Are you willing to help me out?
The gleam in his eyes and the slouch in his posture is so incredibly familiar.
Booze! Did you already forget our party? The thing I relayed to you earlier. So, have you got anything for good old idiot Doom Spiral? A bottle for a story. Seems fair to me. Then I will see you again once you've procured some. Par exemple, my good friend Rosemary here sells all kinds of stuff.
All kinds, sir. Beer and wine.
We are saving the world.
Please! Please don't call. Don't call!
Okay, we're drinking. We're drinking alcohol. That's what we're doing. I tried to save the world once, a long time ago, with enterprise, creativity, and willpower. But that didn't work out. So now, it's a pirate's life for me. You too, Tequila Sunset.
As you turn, a bright light catches your eye, making you squint. From a distant sunset, a stage light, flash photography, nowhere in particular. It's just what superstar law officers do. They squint at lights, and they solve shit. Yeah, you have. You're a big dick cop, Dick Mullen, Salam Rocky Bayi, badass on-the-edge disco cop. Time to recede into a ludicrous fantasy world. Here we go. Camera, lights. With a sudden flash, the world freezes around you, and you along with it. In an iconic monochrome solution, a black silhouette against a rasterized orange world. It's on. Winter, slow to let go of Revachol, flecks some more wet snow from above. The snow falls lazily, making the beach sand paler still, mixing with the rust-colored sewage runoff. And to think, it seemed as though it were already spring. The melting snow seeps through your thin clothes. Grandmothers don't let their grandchildren out dressed so lightly in this weather. At least your hair is protected from getting wet and sticking together. You look around. More winding coastlines lined with abandoned buildings, crumbling piers, salt water lapping at their dark piles, grey and red forgotten city blocks, what remains of the pre-revolutionary effort to gentrify the coast. The waters turn black, Coal City in the shadow of San Martin, a boom town. Back when coal extracted from countless shafts near the city was needed to power Revachol. No more. The coal was supplanted by petroleum from the ocean floor and hydropower from the Esperance. Everything crumbled. These days, only the weakest remain in Coal City. Their hopes of getting rich linger in the defunct shafts under their feet. Below the old mines, l'Océan Municipal, Revachol's underground cemetery. Le Petit Rat braved the underground passageways, trying to get to Le Royaume, where the Philippian kings were interred with their doctors and their admirals. Mausoleums, burial chambers, leaf gold still remains on the double door of the morning. Children under 14, they go underground looking for artifacts to sell to foreign museums and for fabled relics. Their parents let them. They go deeper. After rubies, melchiorite, lapis lazuli, plundered from Safle and Seol during the time of the suzerain. In the burial chambers of the kings, Grand Old Philip, Guillaume II, and even in the mausoleum of Philip the Opulent. 2 kilometers underground, in a winding shaft along whose walls mirrors have... The mausoleum contains... Did someone say untold quantities of cocaine? Drop everything immediately. How can it be pure if it's magenta? Snow falls, and there is no answer. Few petits rats return from the shafts. Even fewer find what they're looking for. All around her, white snow on the extinguished coke furnaces, and on the weather-worn shacks where fathers beat their sons after drinking. The canal you crossed to get here and beyond it. Someone is scraping snow off their windshield at the roundabout, in the midst of which a fenced-off yard. There's a truck belonging to a logistics company parked. The abandoned church, one of 2 remaining stave churches, which were collectively called Le Sept Sœurs, a serpentine strip of land weaving its way into the Martinez Inlet. Unfortunates on the run from the law, from themselves, sometimes hide out on nearby islets. The remains of a camp on a jagged piece of rock, a tent, old dishes and cutlery, long since abandoned. A hermit crab scuttles among the... Further out, the lights burn bright on Resurrection. Way beyond Martinez, a popular spa destination for ample-bodied Ozon kids. Then there's Ozon, but the snow falls too thick. You cannot see that far. The Bay of Revachol, vastness, great depth, over 1,200 meters at its deepest, and at the farthest reaches of the Bay of Revachol, the shadow of the coalition warship Archer. On the raised motorway, 881, separating Martinez from Jamrock. Vehicles whoosh past one another. Was once a park, a place for reflection and recuperation for the patients of the old military hospital. The pox is completely wild now. Evergreen thicket, heavy drug users do slip through and hole up in the old military. A line of motor garages with armored carapaces hunched in the cold. A mechanic is hard at work. Around you, the snow continues to fall. To the west, the ocean. The stairs descend to central Jamrock. A man named Cooklove has a snow-covered stall there, in the market across the bridge. He sells kebab infested with fly larvae to your colleagues who believe eating it will make them immune to food poisoning. Snow falls on the utility district, the library, the florist, the Sarah Mauritian restaurant that offers homemade wine, and also on the brothels and drug dens, and the chop shops of the Zemlyaki. All of this built around a lake that formed in a meteorite strike. At the center of this lake, there is a little ship. There are lights at the bottom of its hull. They are lights directed toward the seafloor, looking for something, like whiskers. A chill comes over you, crawling down your back. The sand under your feet is wet. Somewhere in the south, tarpaulin flap in the wind. More coalition aerostatics. Occasionally, lights flash as they maneuver through the falling snow. One large airship carries crates. In its layer upon layer of sand, poisoned with industrial runoff, the storm drainage, hidden bunkers. Rats. Someone stuffed a big old polar anorak into a concrete pipe under the boardwalk. It would keep you warm. You would probably never happen across it, but who knows?
We should keep moving. Who knows when the snow will let up?
This is the last of the traps. The one Morel just set. Checking it over, he said, is just a technicality. The reeds by the abandoned campsite sway and tremble, while the snow falls all around. It's good the cryptozoologists left. This isn't a very cozy place to stay night after night. The later it gets, the colder. Remnants of the camp can still be seen in the sand. The fire that's gone out. You feel strange, somehow. The trap feels light and silent as you pick it up. Something is different here. No locust, no phasmid either, but still.
Well, the bait worked on something. This doesn't mean it was a real monster, though. Unless you see one in there, I just see an empty trap. We did, sort of, promise to tell them, didn't we?
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Hold on, officer. I've got Central Jamrock Public Library on the line, and I've already introduced you to their librarian. Connecting the call in 2, 1.
Yes, this is Central Jamrock Public Library here. How can I help you, officer? Billy Majon, you said. Give me a moment, I'll have to check our database.
On Moreau Drive in central Jamrock, in a darkened hall lit by orange desk lamps far away from the noise outside, a middle-aged man taps commands into an old radio computer. A printout falls on the desk. Behind him, a lonely reader scours some dusty bookshelves, looking for a paperback.
Yes, hello, are you still there? I found Billy Majon's home address, is that alright? No phone number, unfortunately.
They're too poor to have a phone line.
Here we go, sir. Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33B, apartment number 20. It's in Martinez, I believe. Cape Side Apartments, it says. That's all.
That's where the smoker on the balcony lives, isn't it?
It says here that they returned their last book just a few days ago, but I wasn't at work that day. Marie? Marie? Do you remember a reader named Billy Majon? They returned a Tybalt book the other day. Yes, it was my colleague Marie. She said that it was Billy's husband who returned the book. He also asked for this new sci-fi release, Lowe's Radio City 87, but we don't have it yet.
Good. You have a name now.
Sorry, no. Marie only knows him by sight. Marie? She said it was an older man, and that she's pretty sure he'd had a drink or two the last time she saw him. 1 second. Sorry, Marie wasn't really paying any attention to that. Marie knows Billy. She's been working here longer than me. Sometimes her husband returns some books for her. Happy we could help. Goodbye, officer.
Anything else you need from me? One moment. Can you please describe the body? Age, sex, cause of death?
We suspect he might have been inebriated when he fell. There were bottles all around him, and traces of vomit on his shirt.
Any signs of violence? No field autopsy necessary. What about his belongings? Did you examine his clothes? Any information on the library card? Good. You have a lead. Do you and Lieutenant Kitsuragi want to take the case, or should I assign it to someone else? I have assigned the case to Lieutenant Kim Kitsuragi. Please follow up on this library lead to identify the man. We'll send someone to take the body to the morgue. That's all for now. Thank you for reporting in. Is there anything else I can do for you? 57th, over and out.
In the cabin, you
Can I help you?
Gart, I found a new bird for the whirling. Give him the ruffled grouse.
What is this thing?
It's no biggie. I just thought it would look nice on the wall.
What, the interior decorating kind? You know, I'm sorry. This is actually a nice bird. A competent piece of taxidermy. I can fix it to the plaque and have a new bird in the establishment, I guess. So, I don't know. Thank you. I'm gonna go with thank you.
This was mostly about the fucking cardio. Massive cardio here. You'll live till 90, or you get a heart attack from running.
I feel good about our work here today. It's all about the little things, like bringing people random stuffed animals.
Come on, Kim, lay off the sarcasm.
Oh, sweetie, I don't even know how to thank you for finding my husband and helping him out. I hope we haven't been too much trouble for you.
It was just on my way while I was working the case.
Here, I want to give you a small token of my gratitude. It's a tie, Mexican origin. The pin is an antique, quite special.
The little silvery knob holding the tie together feels warm in your hand. It's in the shape of an avian skull with 8 eyes. You could ask her about this when you get the time. It's probably a cryptid, but the phasmid, of course, is more important.
You never told me you've seen the phasmid.
Oh, you don't want to hear about some old woman's ramblings.
Ramblings? Nonsense. Your description of the phasmid is the most precise I've ever heard.
But, darling, I didn't even get the size of it right.
You were a child, my dear. Really. It's extraordinary what you were able to describe. Now go on, tell our friend about it. He's proven his interest in the field.
Reflexively, the lieutenant read his familiar notebook.
Well, it was summer. I was building a racing track out of sand on the beach near a tall stand of reeds. Quite a tall one. I'm getting ahead of myself. I was 5 and a half.
Oops,
in
clicked too fast.
In the suburbs. My grandmother had a summer home there. The strangest moment of my life. I looked up and one of the reeds moved. Not like a plant, but like a living thing. It stood up and looked at me. Its body unfolded like some antique toy. I've never seen anything like it.
She had no fear, just surprise.
I didn't know this can happen, so I reached my arm and touched the thing. It felt just like a stalk of reed, but it moved, swaying, towering above me. After a while, 20 seconds, a minute maybe, it left, went into the reeds.
Did you follow it?
I tried, but I was only a child. There was mud and high water. I couldn't see it anymore. I was just standing there knee-deep in mud, looking around me.
Then what?
I ran back home to my grandmother and asked her if reeds could walk, and told her they were looking at me. Of course, she just laughed at me, but I knew what I'd seen. For years, it was a story I told at parties when I wanted to impress boys. That sort of thing. Of course, most people just took it as a strange, amusing anecdote. So did I, honestly. But then I met Morel.
We were on a date. Can you imagine? She tells me a story, and it's the most detailed report of the Insulindian phasmid I've ever heard. The sounds. She told me it hissed.
It did, yes. Like reeds in a gust of wind.
The way it moved, the colour, how some of its limbs were white, like marble. It matched perfectly with what I know from other accounts. It was amazing. If it weren't for Lena, I might have given up hope years ago. It's no exaggeration to say that she restored my faith in my profession.
He looks at her with admiration, forgetting a wide smile on his face.
Our first, yes.
The old woman looks at her husband tenderly. Its limbs are white?
Not all of them. There is some white coloration reported, along with beige, where the camouflage ends.
How big was it?
It's hard to say how big things are when you're quite small yourself. To me, it seemed to be taller than I was then, but that's probably not the case.
Kim, why do you think of this?
I thought it was a wonderful story, man.
He closes his notes and gives her a simple smile. Thank you for sharing this with
You're
me.
welcome, sweetie. I do appreciate the chance to relive it whenever I get one. It was just such an impossibly sunshiny day. So warm.
That's all for now, ma'am.
I couldn't possibly shower thanks on you as enthusiastically as my wife has, but I am grateful for your assistance, officer.
He tries to play it cool, remain professorial, but inside, this man is itching for some news on those traps.
So I checked all the traps.
Okay. And
one of them was empty.
Completely empty?
His eyes grow wide.
Surprise, tempered with fear and trepidation. He doesn't know what to think yet. Maybe you're joking?
Yes, there was nothing in the trap. No locusts, no phasmid.
No locusts? No phasmid either?
That's not ideal, but...
The empty trap was the one at your campsite. Maybe this factors into it somehow?
I definitely left that one stocked.
Right from the campsite? Just means the Insulindian phasmid is even more clever than we thought.
Or there's something out there that eats insects, like, you know, lizards.
Of course, more clever.
Yes, the Phantasmadeia picked off the locusts and escaped. This is good news, though we'll have to reconsider the design of the traps, make them more secure.
Another trip to the reeds.
I don't know, I'm not persuaded.
Why don't you try convincing Morel his hypothesis is invalid?
Thank you for the vote of no confidence, Gary. An officer. I appreciate your concern, but please leave this to the experts. Unless you have an alternative hypothesis you'd like to venture.
You're jabbing at the soft underbelly of his psyche. He realizes he's gotten defensive.
Actually, no. Excuse me for getting emotional. This is a big deal for us. You've helped us twice now, and brought some great news too. My gratitude, and the gratitude of the Société Cryptozoologique de Ravachol, is yours.
Heartfelt gratitude. But does it feel like closure? What really happened? Some kind of foul play might be afoot. Theft?
Who'd want to steal a bunch of locusts?
Thank you, it's an honor. We should probably return to our main investigation here. This has been refreshing, but...
Consider the way the empty trap was disturbed, as though shaken. Most likely the hands of a young person. Hands small enough to fit inside the trap, too. You should ask the red-headed boy, Kuno.
I think a little hooligan called Kuno may have stolen the locusts.
A little hooligan? But what would a child want with bags?
If you ask that question, you don't know children very well, do you?
Oh, my dear Morel. You've been an old man for too long. Kids love to torment insects almost as much as they love to torment old folks.
I'll talk to the little gremlins and see if anything comes up.
Delinquents. My favorite.
Somehow, I doubt that, Kim.
Oh, you've been such a dear to us. Please, let us know whatever you turn up. I have a feeling we're getting so close.
Well, I see you've got all the help you need. I'll see you tonight at my place. Let's play suzerainty, but no more field trips for me.
After this is your last chance to talk to Gary.
Really, Gary? We're getting somewhere here. I'd love to play suzerainty, but...
Lena, I'm sorry, but you're not getting anywhere. It was some kids. I know the little mutants around here. Leave anything out in the open and they'll steal it, even if it's bugs.
He looks at his tea.
Morel, it's been fun, really, but I need a bath and I have deliveries to handle. When this tea is done, I gotta run.
No need to apologise, Geary. You'd be more than helpful. We'll have to take a rain check on that game of suzerainty today, though. We're gonna follow this through.
I'll get going. And talk to Gary.
Always a pleasure to see an officer of the law. I mean, officers.
Nope, don't need to talk to him about anything, apparently.
Looks like the circus left town, but the clowns are still here.
Titus doesn't look particularly happy to see you. I found 8 sets of footprints, but there's only 7 of you. Where's the 8th Hardy Boy?
What are you talking about, madman? There's no 8th Hardy Boy. There's 7 of us and we're all here. Or what? You want to be the 8th Hardy Boy? We ain't hiring.
Actually, boss, we've been talking and we think she could maybe...
She? So there's an 8th Hardy, and it's a Hardy girl? Who might it be? Elizabeth? The gardener?
Shut the fuck up, Glenn! I do the talking here. Now what the fuck do you want, cop?
So let me get this straight. There is an 8th Hardy Boy. It's a she, and you don't like us talking about her?
That's right. We're not talking about this. This is a private Hardy Boys matter. Nothing to do with your shit. And
he points at the lieutenant.
You're not cops here. Don't go digging around if you don't want a bullet in the back of your head. I'm watching you.
Good. We are all watching each other. Officer, your question.
There's no point in pushing it further, he thinks. This is already a victory. We'll learn more about this 8th Hardy sooner or later.
The man hanged in the backyard. Did you do it?
The pretty boy. You guys really love talking about that pretty boy.
Funny. But my partner and I have a serious matter to discuss with you.
We have spoken to the head of the union.
Eberhard?
Yes.
And what did he tell you? That we killed him? That we took a cargo belt from the harbor, went out back, and used it to hang him?
The man gets a strange gleam in his eyes. His fist contracts as if going through the pulling motion again, savoring it.
Because we did. All of us together. I hope he told the story straight. I hope he told it well.
There's a catch hidden somewhere. He didn't confess so that you could take them all away. It's too simple.
But there's a catch.
There is no catch. These 7 honest men have all equally come forth to tell you what happened, so that you don't waste any more of your time.
How does the bullet in his head factor into this? A sip of beer makes the surprise go down easier.
There was a bullet in the dead man's brain. Why was it there if you hanged him?
How the fuck do I know? Anyone could have shot him. Target practice, maybe.
Another sip. He's tight-lipped suddenly.
This line of questioning is over. You got the cause of death already? Hanging. If there's any post-mortem trauma, it's your problem. This will not turn into a cross-examination.
You murdered him just like that? No remorse?
How many people have you sent to the Shays? Ever felt remorse for them?
Chaise électrique is the method of capital punishment in Revachol under the Coalition. During the suzerain's reign, it used to be the firing squad.
Or send them to Reunion to rot. For 20 years. For life.
And Reunion, what's
The
that?
River Esperance Correctional Facility, a military prison run by the Coalition, dubbed Reunion by the inmates. The origin of the name is unknown.
Look, I'm just doing my job. That's what we do is different. We enforce the law. You just kill people like it's nothing.
But you see, a lawman, is something people agree upon. And here in Martinez, we agreed that this man had to die.
Who called the shots that
Are
night?
you deaf? There will be no singling anyone out. You can't arrest a Hardy Boy without arresting all Hardy Boys. Do you think you could do that? Do you think you could arrest them all?
I don't have to.
That's for the courts in Les Jardins to decide. Not for the officer making an arrest. Which we all know you won't be. What you can do right now is go back to your station and write a report.
No. We'll stay here and discuss what happened that night.
When did this hanging incident
You
occur?
don't have to keep answering his questions.
The fixer turns to remind Titus.
I know, Lizzie. Relax. We killed him last Sunday night. Seemed like a good way to end the week.
How long had you known the victim?
Known him? We don't associate with scum like that, asshole.
Yeah! Who do you think we are?
Quiet. He came around about 3 weeks ago when that Pines cow first sailed into town. Happy?
By the Pines cow, you mean Joyce Messier? The representative for White Pines? The same company you're striking against?
No. I mean the Pines cow. The stupid-ass cow they sent in to fuck us over. But you know what?
He rubs his chin, pretending to mull it over.
Why don't you ask her about the pretty boy? I'm sure she has interesting things to say when you ask her hard enough.
That's enough insinuation for today, Titus. Officer.
Why? 'Cause he was worthless mercenary scum. And he stepped out alive in my town.
So he was a mercenary, that's it?
And he stepped out of line.
He repeats, jaw clamped shut like a
What
vice.
kind of mercenary?
The kind that shows up when you start a strike. The experienced kind, too. Had Cohoy and Semenine written all over him. Ex-Oranese Special Forces.
A live grenade. Right here in our bar.
I can't prove it, but I know he was sent by the Wild Pines. They hire merc shit like that. Story of every strike from here to Samara.
Hold on, how do you even know he was in Special Forces?
'Cause one night he walked straight up to the mic and said, "I'm Oranese goddamn Special Forces, and I'm gonna fuck you all."
Really?
Yeah, really. Had a gin and tonic up there, sang some Oranese paratrooper song, and said he's gonna fuck everyone.
We couldn't believe it either, but he fucking did, right there. Like some kind of animal.
They did mention that one of the mercenaries was hard to control.
Wrong. He harassed women, raped one, harassed workers, threatened to kill some as a warning.
He wiped spittle from his mouth.
There's slight unease in him, suddenly. He regrets mentioning the rape.
To kill us all, if we don't open the gates, if we don't let the scabs in, if we don't bend over. That was before he started coming here.
Yeah, he said it was his favorite joint now. Started coming here every night. Drinking, grabbing girls, grabbed one of ours mid-karaoke, right there on the stage.
He grabbed someone?
The lieutenant is trying to make sense of this flood of information.
Yeah, this girl's on the mic, a beautiful girl, young. Gets into the second verse of Lover Lake. The fucker grabs her legs, starts screaming, "Show me your cunt! Why don't you show me your cunt?" Then, he gets knocked on the head with a wine bottle, doesn't even fall down.
He shakes his head in disbelief. Was this the same girl who was sexually assaulted, you said?
Aren't you fucking listening? My man is talking to you. He took care of it. They got the girl out before anything else could happen.
Yeah, me and Eugene got her out. Aren't you fucking listening?
Right, but who did he rape then? This is a serious
No.
allegation.
You're not getting the name. That's a Martinez matter. And I'm not discussing it with you clowns.
There's nothing you can do for now. He's stonewalling you.
How did you kill him?
We hanged him up by his neck until he got real still. Wasn't that obvious, Copper?
Didn't they teach you anything at the cop school, idiot?
The autopsy showed there were no ligature marks. His hands were not tied. Can you explain that?
The lieutenant goes in for the leg sweep. Titus does not see it coming.
Look, I'm not gonna play 20 questions with you, Capo. I'll say it again. We killed him.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I knocked him out. Came up behind him and clubbed him in the back of the head. He went down like a sack of sand.
That's right, lawman. And then we hanged the fuck.
Make them a bit more uncomfortable first. Then see if it all adds up.
Mr. Tats, what did you use to knock the victim out?
My fucking elbow, Copper. Samurai boxing style.
Samurai boxing, or Sambo, is an eloquently violent set of one-on-one fighting moves, originating from the Samurai Isola. Sambo style implies stealth, cleverness, and cool.
Where did all this action take
fucking
place?
Here. Eugene already told you that the fuck had started coming to our bar.
Yeah, man. Weren't you listening?
Well, here goes.
Titus is solid as a rock, and so are a few others. But
First, tell me who's solid.
Elaine, who looks like he might be Titus's right-hand man, the least antsy of the bunch. Definitely not his first time being questioned by the police. This little rat-faced fellow is solid too. Always fidgety, yes, but no change there. Him neither. Mostly keeps to his tomato juice, or whatever he's got there.
Who's cracking under the pressure? Fat Angus. This one, he's sweating profusely and has difficulty breathing. They've kept him out of the conversation thus far. Definitely the weakest link in the chain.
A single sentence would wear him out. He can't take the length of the questioning. Keep it going long enough, and he'll crack.
There's something you're not telling me.
Fuck off, Copper.
This one is a stone wall. You won't get more out of them about the night of the murder. Not yet.
Hey you, having trouble breathing over there?
No.
He looks up startled, his forehead shiny from sweat. A few coiled locks are peeking out from under his warm woolen hat.
Of course he's having trouble breathing. Just look at how fucking fat he is.
The man next to the big guy bursts out laughing.
Fuck off, Shanky. Angus is a powerful guy. All muscle.
Keep your eye on this powerful guy. Sooner or later, he's going to break like a piece of twig.
Right, I have other
Like
questions
what,
about it.
Copper?
Why don't I just arrest
Yeah,
you?
lawman. Why don't you?
Not in the arresting mood?
His mean little eyes come alive with
A
hatred.
fearful readiness, like an electrical charge, raises hairs in the room. By your side, the lieutenant keeps his hand away from his holster. You hear the nylon of his coat hiss as he steps closer, while the little rat-faced man reaches into his sleeve. There's a knife in there. Some of the others reach for their belts. Their eyes are light.
Let's just talk.
Wise move. You made the right choice there. Now make another one and get the fuck out of our booth. We're not gonna do this again. How many people have you seen?
Shares elect.
Or send them to Reunion to rot. For 20 years.
Yeah.
For life. Oh, so you are just a simple, well-meaning man, eh? Ever been in solitary? Prison is a charter. That's
I'm
what
gonna
it
see
is.
if I can get him to crack. I'm
So
not
he's
sure I
hanging
can.
a man, slowly, without breaking his neck.
We hanged.
Didn't they teach?
The autopsy showed
The lieutenant goes,
Yeah.
That's right.
make them a bit more uncomfortable first. Then see if it all adds up.
My fucking elbow, Copper. Right fucking here.
Yeah, man. Weren't you listening?
And fuck you.
This one is a stone wall. You won't get more out.
And fuck you.
This one is a stone wall.
No.
Of course he's having...
Fuck off.
Keep your eye on this.
Like what?
Nothing. You're invisible.
I think we're going to stick around, thanks. I've done this job for long enough to know that people don't just confess to first-degree murder. Even if it is a group responsibility. We're going to look into this.
Good luck with that. You've heard everything a rent-a-cop is gonna hear from us. Real law officials.
You still
You're
haven't
lucky you
explained the
didn't
book.
get a beating.
I told you already. I spoke to Everard, and he said you'd cooperate.
Oh, So you went and talked to my mommy, and now she's making me play with you. Is that it, lawman?
And what's gonna happen if we don't? You gonna go and tell on us?
Very mature, guys. Everett sent word, right?
Yeah, I heard him. Now fuck do you think I'm doing here? You'd have your ass handed to you if it wasn't for the boss man's word. Let me state this very clearly, Capo. Hello, officer. I'm Titus Hardy, and these are my boys. Hardy boys. How may we assist you?
You still haven't explained the bullet I found in his head.
You still on about that bullet? A bullet in a hangman's head. You're right, Copper. That is mighty curious.
Indeed, mighty. How did it get there?
The lieutenant is fixed on Titus.
Well, there are so many bullets in the world, and so many heads. I guess it's only logical. At some point, one of them bullets had to end up in one of them heads.
It's bound to happen again, you know? Just statistically speaking, of course.
I think the hanging was a cover-up for the shooting.
You know what I think? I think he was shot in the head as a kid, and his brain grew around the bullet.
Around the bullet, man. That's a good one.
I'm going to ask you again, why was this in the victim's head?
Wow! He's got it in a real evidence bag and all!
Why don't you go home and log it into evidence? These men have told you what happened.
Did you guys shoot him?
I probably did shoot him. I was drunk last night. You guys know me when I'm drunk.
Yeah, Glenn likes to shoot his guns when he's drunk. Better hope he stays sober.
No, he meant before he was hanged. Did you shoot him before you hanged him?
Before? After? During? This is getting ridiculous. They told you what happened. Stop wasting your time.
Never been worried in my life, lawman.
He crosses his hairy arms, having forgotten his beer for a moment.
It's not like you blew it wide open, but there's a little crack in there, somewhere.
Again.
Good one, Titus.
About fucking time.
Well, it's not like I can... It's not like I can do much about that authority right now. Well, I suppose I can. Let's see what I got that increases my authority, if anything. Nope, if I got anything that increases authority, it's that. And I'm not taking a risk on a 28% chance.
Behind the dockworkers, a ceiling height.
And actually, because we started about 30 minutes late and we're almost at the normal mark where I go to bed, I think this is where I'm going to leave it for now. We'll pick up in the next stream. So thank you all for coming. I'd like to remind people, if you're watching this at some point in the future and you'd like to support the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a great rest of your evening.